Christine and Tim.
Christine, Sofran, Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Now, in order to be able to know how to craft your personal brand, you need to know your level. Where are you today to even know how to get to building a personal brand? So if I were to ask any one of you today, how many of you believe you already have a personal brand? Usually, on average, when I ask this question, I get divided responses, where some of you say, yes, I do have a personal brand, and some of you say, no, I actually don't have one. Well, I'm here to give you the actual answer. The answer is, all of you have a personal brand, whether you think you do or not.
But this world, as big as it is, one person can be the tipping scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to judge you and tell you you're too naive.
First thing you need to think about is being an expert. And what do I mean by being an expert? We already see what's happening where today, if you're not informed as to what is going on, the person next to you could have less experience, but if they're more informed, they will get ahead. And that is the knowledge truths. Keep in mind, there's now a digital economy. And so when you're trying to export your business, you're also exporting your story and you're exporting your expertise. Some people forget that sometimes you could teach your knowledge, your background, your story, and monetize that.
So as an expert, the ones who are able to teach that information to their audiences, they get more partnerships, they get more marketing, they get more customers actually. And so I host like a lot of webinars online for free. I do a lot of videos, I do how-to tips. And so that expertise also builds my brand, which indirectly builds my business.
Well, hello and welcome back, everyone. I see a lot of excitement on the chat. Definitely call in and let me know where you're coming in from. Tell me if you're from New York, London, some part of another city around the world. I know yesterday we had a global group. We had people come in from Dubai, from Ghana, from London, New York, California. It definitely was a varied group of individuals in the call. So I'm really excited to welcome you all back. Comment part 2 if you were here yesterday for the Personal Brand Challenge as we kicked off on this amazing journey of getting you to your alignment, to your purpose, to really reinvent yourself. I said this yesterday, 2025 is a year of reinvention. It's a year for opportunity and abundance. And this is more than a personal brand challenge. This is your opportunity to take a step back and reflect on where you want to go, where you want to be in the future, and plan and strategically aim for that and go for that by putting personal branding at the heart of your strategy when it comes to building out your career. So I welcome you guys back for part 2. I'm so excited to engage with all of you. And of course, we covered so much on day 1, day 2, day 3, which is pretty much day 1 to 3 recap that we're going to kick off today to make sure that you have a full breath and get ready to dive into part 2 of this, okay? So I'm seeing some comments coming in. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you guys had a great time for part 1 yesterday. And of course, you guys are ready to go. It's gonna be an action pack. So as stated before, yesterday too, we had breaks in between sessions. So not to worry, you'll have time to digest and decompress after each session today to make sure that you are ready to go and excited for what's next. So without further ado, let's dive in. So by introduction, my name is Christine Tim. I'm a 3-time CEO and founder of several amazing companies where I am known as someone who is preparing entrepreneurs for the digital age through my work at the global startup ecosystem. Through my work at GSC, I've been able to accelerate at least 1,000 entrepreneurs across different markets globally every single year through our flagship IP program, which is the world's first and largest digital accelerator platform. In the pursuit of supporting entrepreneurs launch their ideas to market, I have seen the leadership decline globally when it comes to entrepreneurship. Our version of entrepreneurs has shifted. And so it's my work now to really inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs to be leaders, authentic influencers in their economies, in their industries, in their communities. And this is why this personal brand challenge, if you are here because you know that you are not where you need to be, you know that you can accomplish so much more, this is the place to help you reset, reignite, and relaunch and reinvent yourself for 2025 and beyond. So I'm so excited to be here with all of you. So with that said, let's do a brief recap because like I said, yesterday was really active with a lot of information. And so we kicked off with really getting you grounded on some fundamentals. We covered 3 sessions yesterday, which is first all about finding purpose, positioning, and really knowing how to position yourself for a pipeline of clients, stakeholders who want to work with you before even thinking about launching a product to market to monetize your brand. I know a lot of people skip right to the point and say, hey, like this is how to monetize your brand. But what we find is that some people find it very difficult to monetize their expertise because they have not created a foundational base to position themselves to find clarity and alignment with what they want to be known for, who they want to target, and why. And that's the reason why yesterday was such a crucial step in getting you positioned to start monetizing your expertise and packaging your experiences in a way that people see alignment and connection and believe and see that you are the true person that they should work with in comparison to any other player that's in the market. Okay. So with that said, let's dive into the first 3 sessions. The first session was all about purpose. How do you define your personal brand and really find clarity for yourself as to what you want to be known for, even if it's in this moment of time. I tell people personal branding is an evolution. It's a lifelong journey. It's not something that's stuck in place. So who you are today might be very different in what you want to pursue 5-10 years from now. And that is fine. It's called growth. It's called evolution. And that is perfectly fine. But in the moment in time, you do have to be decisive and make decisions. What, as we stand here today, who do you want to be known for? What do you want people to say when they introduce you in other rooms? And that's really defining your purpose and defining your brand. So the exercise that we talked about in doing that, when we look at this 7-point cycle that all of you will be undergoing in your life to really create an operating system with your personal brand, is really thinking of this strategy that we did during day one, this exercise, which is first and foremost, step one, really look at what are top 2 or 3 challenges that you have overcome in your life, right? It could be anything. And the examples I gave for myself was being the first in my family to go to college, right? That definitely was a challenge. And how did I overcome it? Being the first in my family to launch a global company, right? That was definitely another challenge. Being the first in my family to relocate to another country and essentially be able to raise multiple kids with a big family in a completely different country, right? These are 3 big challenges, big milestones that I have to overcome. And how I tell those challenges is what Disney's model is, which is the hero's journey. If you recall, every single story that you've ever heard was captivating because you heard the story through the lens of someone who went through something, a challenge, overcame that challenge with the help of friends or help of resources, gain alignment from that challenge, from that process, and came out to be a new person. So every single person in this room that's listening to this call right now, you have been not only through 1, 2, 3, but you have been through multiple challenges. Some of them are huge ones. You call them major milestone challenges. Some of them are small micro ones, right? But the point is, like, if you've been through a challenge that you've overcome and you're proud of, then you are positioned to help someone else underscore that same journey. So for example, me being the first in my family to go to college, clearly there are thousands of other individuals who are first generation students who've never been to college before, who will learn so much from me creating content and having conversations about how to do the same. Okay. So that's the first step. Going through that exercise for 10 to 15 minutes of finding the challenges that you've overcome in your life and writing them down. The second thing is the brand archetype. How did you solve those challenges? And what we shared is the 12 main archetypes that people have, where you will see a pattern that you solve problems in very similar ways. And when I went through the brand archetype, being using myself as an example, you could tell that I don't represent the dove category. I'm not innocent. I'm not shy. I'm not obedient. I'm not very chill with how I go about this. I'm more of the Nike symbol. I'm a hero category where I'm just like, let's just get it done. Let's go for it. I bulldoze through things. I make things happen, right? I also have the outlaw category. I don't like to follow the norm. If everyone says it's steps 1, 2, and 3, I'm like, why don't we make it steps X, Y, Z? I'm very different in the fact that I'm an outlaw. I like to go against the grain. So seeing the patterns of how you solve those 3 challenges from the first exercise gives you a pattern of not only who you are and how you solve things, but how you should be communicating to the public. So when people hear you speak, there's alignment in how you communicate for people to connect with you. And then final thing is, after evolving and reviewing all these different challenges and how you solve them, make a decision on which one you want to be known for today. And the action step that we pretty much ultimately ended with in that first session is you taking that entire process and creating one simple sentence. And that's your personal brand statement. And the framework for that is I help blank, which is who, to do blank, which is what, because of blank, which is why. Who do you help? What do you help them with? And why do you do it? My example is that I help entrepreneurs to be able to build and scale their businesses and brands to live fulfilled lifestyles. That's my personal brand statement. And again, you could evolve over time, but that personal brand statement helps you to walk into rooms and not introduce yourself as a CEO of an XYZ organization, but introduce yourself as someone who has purpose, integrity, and a calling to serve others, where it creates a dialogue for our conversation, right? You created value just by having this one sentence. And one thing that I said is that if you could actually crystallize your value proposition into this one sentence, you have pretty much beaten over 80% of the global market, because you have found clarity, at least right now, on who you want to serve and why you want to serve them. So when people are introducing you in other rooms, they know how to communicate and repeat that sentence to other people. Do you know Christine? She's really good with helping entrepreneurs build and scale their companies and their personal brands online. You should get to know her, right? So it starts to reinforce itself in that way, all right? Now, after session 1, we dived in right into session 2, where we talked about, okay, now that you have clarity and alignment with who you are and who you want to serve, now we got to get into positioning. And this is where we talk about social media. And a lot of times, like many of you have shared your frustrations with posting on social media and not getting conversions. I always tell people, like, look, I may have thousands of followers on my social media page, but I was monetizing my brand before I even crossed the 2,000 mark. So it's not about having a lot of followers. There are people who have millions of followers and can't make $1 from it, right? And part of the problem is because you're posting with no thought or reasoning. You're just posting just to be active. You're not posting to be social and, really engaging with the people who are engaging with you online. And so I already shared that I'm not the burnout type. I'm not like these young bros who say, like, post every single day. That's not my MO. I got better things to do with my time. I rather really have a thought-provoking reason for posting online. And the main thing that I know that many of you didn't have prior to this series is a strategy for optimizing your LinkedIn profile to make sure that when you are posting, when you are doing webinars, when you are doing activities on social media, particularly on LinkedIn, people know what to do when they come to your page. And the 4 things I said that you need to update was, first off, your headline needs to outline why it's worth talking to you. That headline is what we just did in session 1. Instead of having your introduction on your LinkedIn page be like, Christine Tim, CEO of Global Startup Ecosystem, is my tagline. And you probably would notice that a lot of people are doing that right now across the board, changing their headline to fit this category of a value statement. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, please stop boring us with your stupid biographies that's pretty much chronological in order. No one cares. No one cares when you started working at this job. No one cares when you started this business. No one cares the date of your birth. No one cares about that. What you should have in your bio section is pretty much a story as to how connecting the dots between your experiences and how someone should work with you. It's the part that actually builds trust and relatability. So once they see your brand statement, who you serve, what you do, and why you do it, now they're in your about section and understanding the background story as to why you got to the point to be heading toward this calling. It creates trust and relatability. And in the feature section, so now we're moving all along. Now the person's interested. Now they have a connection to you. They understand why you're doing what you're doing. Now they want to take action. Some of you do not leverage your feature section. You don't put anything there to tell people what to do. People got a lot of things on their plate. People are overstimulated. I don't have time to figure out how I'm going to work with you. You got to tell them. So in your feature section, you have up to 3 max for you to put action items and call to action. So it could be like, your consulting booking page, speaking engagement page, where you sell your digital offers. The point is having 1 to 3 items, call to action, where how people can work with you either through consulting, speaking, or a product. They know what to do next, right? And the experience section, which is the 4th part, is having one section talk about your personal brand in the sense that how you created traction for yourself, testimonials, and your portfolio. So that way, once 1, 2, 3, and 4 is done, all the activities that you're doing now on social media, whether, again, it be webinars, social posts, and newsletters, it's reinforcing people, because the last thing you want is to have traffic come into your LinkedIn and they're interested, but they don't know what to do because they don't know who you serve, which is your headline. They don't know why you do it, which is your about section. They don't have a call to action to make a move to work with you, which is your feature section. And they don't have proof of concept if they're skeptical, which is your experience section. You see how that flows? That's what you need to give people a blueprint. And for many of you, when we go over this process in the Personal Brand Academy, it takes us less than an hour to do all of this. So literally 60 minutes can completely change how your LinkedIn brings in abundance of opportunities for you in your career. That's really all it takes. So that was the positioning part. And the action item that we have for this session was really crystallizing it into one sentence. Follow for me, for example, is like follow my newsletter for weekly updates and access to personal branding tips. That's one example, which is a call to action I have across multiple channels on my brand pages. Okay. Now, again, in tying it all together, by having your personal brand statement as your introduction and having your pitch call to action statement as your, action steps, what people should do, every time you're doing activities on social media, it's a cycle that gets reinforced over and over and over again. Okay. So now diving into session 3 yesterday, we talked about content strategy and we kicked it off with an overview of how the market has changed. And many of you probably weren't aware of the fact that, people are now in a binge mentality, okay? People are now in a mentality where before they can build trust with anyone, they need to see you several times. And the average that Google did in the study that people need to interact with at least 7 hours of content before they could make a decision to want to work with you. And what I told you guys yesterday is that you decide how fast you want to convert people into your community to either buy from you, work with you, or partner with you. That 7 hours of content in video format can be done in a year, where every month you do a masterclass, or after a year, after 7 months, people are like, yep, I want to work with you. It could be done in 7 weeks, where you do a weekly webinar series. So after 7 weeks, people are like, yep, I want to work with you. It could be in a couple of days, where you do a 7-day reinvention challenge, like what I'm doing today, and people just get to know you after 7 days, and now they want to work with you. It's so many different ways that you could do this. But the point is, the quicker you get, that's why you see people do a lot of frequency, and you could tell why they're doing that. It's because they understand this statistic that unless they have at least 7 hours of content to really engage with their audience, people are going to take longer to really build trust with you, because too much has happened on the internet, where people have been burned, people have bought things, learned from people, and didn't get any value. People are now, they want to take their time before they make decisions. And during that time is when they can really get to know if you really are who you say you are, right? And that's the power of, the internet, where it's just like, there's a lot that could be said in 7 hours. You can't really bluff people in 7 hours. They could tell after a while, like, look, like you either know your stuff or you don't. And that's why that trust factor is so important. So we started off with that Google study. And then I shared with you the real secrets to success of a content mastery plan with Pipeline, which is how you have 3 content pillars, how you engage on social, and the secret to really commenting on other people's pages, and always cleaning your LinkedIn to make sure that you are speaking to the right people when you're on social. So that was steps 1, 2, 3. Okay. So again, if you want to get the full lowdown of what was covered on sessions 1 to 3, I'm going to again share really quickly on the chat feed, where you could get the recordings for that before it goes down, for you to binge and catch up right after this session, because it definitely was a very comprehensive 3 hours to cover that in depth. I know I just did a highlight reel, but that's pretty much the gist of what we covered thus far. Okay. So now, in looking into moving forward to day 4, we're going to have 3 more sessions today with breaks in between, where we're going to go over the full spectrum, where we're taking it up a notch now that we have this foundation of your purpose, your positioning, and your pipeline, where now kind of like where you are. You have some clarity and alignment to how you want to position your personal brand to the market. Now we need to get down to business and really start positioning your content and your thought leadership to be monetized, to scale, to pretty much turn your personal brand into an institution that pays you a return on investment through speaking engagements, paid clients, stakeholdership, partnership opportunities, brand deals. I mean, doors that will open for you that you didn't even know were even available to open. Like, that's what you want your personal brand to do, where your reputation is constantly opening doors for you that you did not even know was possible to open. That is the goal you want for your personal brand. And remember what I said yesterday. One of the most famous quotes in personal branding and industry is that the moment your name becomes a solution, that's when you know you've won. And I'm going to repeat that again. The moment your name becomes a solution, that's when you know you've won. When people are able to talk about you in different circles and say like, hey, this is your issue, this is the person to go to, that's when you know you've built the personal brand, the reputation that can unlock opportunities for you that you never saw coming. And that's my hope and aspiration for each of you. And this is the reason why I'm so committed to this personal brand reinvention challenge, because I recognize that in this year that we're operating in 2025, a lot of you have been doing well. A lot of you have been accelerating. Your career has been, on the momentum and scaling. But some of you, you're not actually stuck, but you're mentally stuck in the fact that what's the next step? How do I take myself to the next level? And I'm here to break those barriers for you psychologically, emotionally, physically, and strategically with practical steps to take you to the next level. So let's dive into the second part of this challenge, so that way you could complete this journey with clarity and alignment to really identify, again, the gaps in your strategy right now, how you interact with the world, and go out there with more confidence, ready to take it on by storm. That is the goal. Okay. So let's dive into day 4. You already seen this picture many times before, where this is the 7-step operating system. Okay. to really building and scaling and monetizing your brand throughout your entire career. Because like I said, you're going to be going through multiple transitions in your life. You're going to leave this job. You're going to start this business. You're going to go to this country. You're going to, become a mom. You're going to do this. You're going to do so many different new chapters in your life. And it's very, very important that you're positioning yourself to create that operating system right now. Some of you don't even have an operating system to manage your personal brand today. And I'm here to tell you, this is the blueprint. So for some of you who feel overwhelmed, should I network? Should I post on social? Should I do a newsletter? Should I do a podcast? You're just juggling all these different decisions. This is the operating system that you need to do step by step, because there is a sequence to success. There is a sequence for you to be able to incrementally and exponentially scale your brand properly in the way that grants you opportunities, so you're not overwhelming yourself just doing a checklist of items that have no cohesive alignment for your brand. Okay. So with that said, before I dive into this, let's take a step back. We're now into product today. Day 4, we're diving into product. How do you monetize your brand? And just a reminder, I'm going to go over this at high level, but keep in mind, there's still some spaces left for those of you who want to have in-depth session with me next week on July 2nd to 3rd, for me to sit down with you virtually and help you create your first monetized product to go to market. Because some of you don't know how to monetize and really think of the title, the description, the announcement of how to put it out there to start generating revenue on your brand. Next week, I'm going to go live with that. So more on that later, but I just put the link before spots fill up, because obviously this requires a more intimate setting, and this will not be live streamed. This will be private for only people who RSVP for that opportunity. Okay. So let's take a step back. We're diving into product, how to monetize your brand. What happens when your first revenue source dries up? This is my first question to you. For those of you who have a 9-to-5, you're working in corporate, congratulations, you are gainfully employed. That's great. But what happens if you get laid off, right? Because that 9-to-5 is your one stream of income, right? What happens? We see massive tech layoffs all across the board. People are losing their jobs left and right because of the state of the economy. What happens when they say that, you know what, we're good to go, we don't need you anymore? What do? And for my entrepreneurs, you're not safe either, because a lot of you have one business, so all your streams of income comes into one business. What happens when your business is stuck, where you're not getting enough clients are shifting, and you have a time period, maybe 6 months, a year, even 2+ years, where your business is on a rocky territory? What do when the income from surviving from that business is not bringing in revenue? What do you actually do, right? When you have a strategic personal brand, no matter what happens with your work life, no matter what happens with your business, you have multiple streams of income. And I can speak to that personally. Speaking for myself, I have pretty much 7 streams of income that I've accumulated over my career. I get income from speaking engagements. I get income from my consulting sessions. I get income from my digital products. I get income from like brand partnership deals, like literally in each one of my businesses. Right. So if one of the businesses going through a rut, I'm still getting revenue through my personal brand. And when I was in corporate, when my job said like, hey, like this is what's going on, I still had my personal brand. So what we're trying to create here is not just income security, but control, where you are able to navigate your life and your career in a sense where you could go out in confidence, no matter what happens with your job, with your business, your project, your side gig. You are able to move forward. And this is especially true for those of you, like especially with the women on the call, where if you're going through a process where many of you are aware of the fact that I'm a mother of 4 children, that's me. I have gone on maternity leave at least 4 times where I'm out for the comp. Many times, of course, my businesses will continue to run with my teams, but my personal brand was still generating opportunities and revenue. So by the time I came back into the market, it's like business as usual. Right. So what you want to do here is when you're thinking about monetizing your brand, you're thinking about packaging your expertise in a way, no matter what happens, that expertise is still relevant and still important and still solves a problem for other people who have challenges, where it still brings you an income source and a legacy source too, because your brand is still gaining momentum and recognition with each person that you serve, no matter what happens in your career. And so when you're thinking about revenue paths, there's so many different ways to monetize your brand. And I know right now, if you Google how to monetize your brand, how to make money with your brand. They're going to give you hundreds of examples: consulting, coaching, courses, conferences, content, right? Brand partnership, contracts, sponsorships, collaborations, podcast revenue. We could go on and on and on, but that's not going to help you. Me telling you that there's a million different ways to monetize your brand is not going to help you. We already know how to monetize our brands in multiple different ways. We've heard it all before. The problem that many of you guys are dealing with is that it's not that you don't know how to monetize your brand. You don't know where to start to position yourself to start making money with these paths. So if I say that you could get into consulting, okay, how are you going to package your first consulting package, right? What are you going to consult on? And who are you going to position it to? For some of you might be like, hey, everyone's saying launch a course. Okay, how are you going to package the course? How do you announce it? How do you launch it? What topic should you pick? And this is the reason why the in-depth session that I'm inviting you guys next week is going to be so crucial, because I'm going to look at your pattern of leadership. That's why it's going to be an intimate group for me to share with you, like, hey, even though there's all these different ways to monetize your brand, it looks like your strength and your expertise falls into this category. This is the best thing to do first, right? Or this is the best thing to do right now based on the resources and the knowledge expertise that you have, or the time constraints that you have, because not every revenue path is created the same. Some of you don't have the bandwidth to do consulting. Some of you don't have the bandwidth to do a conference. Some of you don't have the, wherewithal to even find contract RFPs. There's a different skill set to each revenue path. See, I see a lot of light bulbs going, because you probably never heard people talk about monetizing branding this way, but it's the truth, right? And my job as a mentor and a facilitator and as a coach is to show you why each path is different and how to identify which one is the right one for you right now and which one is the right one for you in the future, depending on the sequence of events that you take on with your current day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year schedule. Okay, so that's a word on revenue paths. So with that said, the best thing I could tell you is, like, once you get into momentum and pick that revenue path that works for you, whether it be consulting, coaching, or launching a course, then you're going to get into a rhythm of revenue cycles where you're going to be able to, reinforce your thought leadership through content. So for me, I do a lot of weekly webinars. That's my channel to be able to reinforce my expertise so people stay on point and on top of mind. And then every month or quarter, I'm doing a conversion event where I'm saying, okay, now take action. Let's move beyond webinars and let's take action. So for example, this is a conversion event, this 7-day reinvention challenge. As passionate as I am about it, it's an opportunity for you to kind of get a condensed version of my thought leadership and then take action immediately. This is, again, the reason why I'm inviting you to not just sit here and learn. Like, stop learning. Like, stop doing that. Like, it does nothing for you to be aware, find clarity, find alignment for everything that I'm saying to you right now over the past couple of days, and not do anything with it immediately while you're in the heat of excitement, heat of exploration, heat of engagement. This is the time to say, like, look, I'm ready to go and take a decision and make something happen. Right? So with that said, you do a conversion of it. And then, of course, once you're done, you don't just drop people. You continue to engage with people, continue to manage your community. Some things you do once, some things you do twice, some things you don't do again. I know for a lot of people, I share with them that I am still a serial entrepreneur. I have 3 different companies. So I am not a full-time coach. Some of you, I've had people say, Christine, are you still doing this workshop or this coaching program? No, I only do it once a year. So if you miss the window, you miss the window. Right? I'm not a full-time coach, but what that means though is when I do get into a coaching experience, people take it very seriously, not only because of scarcity, because I don't do it throughout the year, but because I'm in the market. So if I'm doing a coaching experience on personal branding, because I'm in the market closing brand deals, monetizing my brand and doing activations, I'm able to tell you in real time what you need to do. I'm not outdated where I'm full-time as a coach, just training with a theoretical mindset. So there's a benefit to me being in the market and then coming back and sharing that wisdom and thought leadership in a more intimate setting. So these are revenue cycles that you will be going. And this is what I love about this. The moment your system would manage your personal brand becomes boring, that's when you know you're ready for scale. Because what you want is get to the point where you know exactly what you need to put in and put out to not only generate revenue, but to also generate opportunities. I know exactly what to put out to get weekly podcast interviews, to get weekly, conversations with clients. to do monthly revenue sales targets. Like, I literally know what action steps I need to do. My revenue cycles are boring right now. Some of you are juggling and doing too many experiments. My hope for you, if you work with me beyond today, is to take those experiments, stop it, and actually get you into a systematic way of building, scaling, and monetizing your brand strategically, so that way it gets boring for you, okay? Where you just pretty much have your cycle on automation and you're ready to go. So those are revenue cycles. And it begins with you thinking about, again, what expertise do you have that you can bring to market? And we're going to go in depth in this during the Personal Brand Digital Product Workshop that I'm hosting live virtually next week with just less than 20 people, okay? And during that session, I'm coming back to this where I'm going to share with you what experiences do you have that created a journey and a perspective that you could add value to someone else, that has secret strategy and tactics that you could give to someone else. This is the reason why we started this entire challenge, where you thinking about your experiences in a way of what a top 3 or 2 or 3 challenges that you have overcome that's giving you a perspective or secrets and tactics that you could give to others. That is the blueprint for kicking off of making money with your personal brand, identifying challenges that you've overcome, and then identifying other people who also been through the same journey and need you to cross their chasm. Because remember, in the hero's journey example that I give you, usually they have a guide, they have a friend, they have a partner, they have someone to enlighten them, to help them along the journey. If you think about all the stories that you love, okay, whether it be Pocahontas, Cinderella, The Lion King, the lead person did not do it on their own. They had a guide. This is the reason why you need mentorship. This is why even being on this session, you guys are on this series listening to me, because I am practicing as your guide. I'm giving you blueprints and clarity and information that's breaking mental barriers, which is going to make mental shifts that turns into action steps that helps you break through your challenge, right? So you too have done the same, and you could provide that journey of enlightenment to others. That's really what it is. I don't like what all these internet gurus are doing, where they're making it just like a way to just get money and just drop random products, digital courses. I actually hate this, that the internet has been filled with so many buffoons that now you guys are frustrated and have to really decipher between who's the real deal and who really has something of knowledge and merit to share with the world. And my hope is, how I teach other people to do this process is I teach you to be very, very committed to the content and thought leadership that you put out there. I always tell people, unlike other gurus, never sell a product, a course, a coaching program, a consulting program based on a trend, based on something that's hot topic. Don't do it. Only work on experiences that you feel confident enough that you know that you've been through, because when you teach it, it comes from the heart, it comes from the gut. You have real tangible ways of helping someone along that journey. We all have that in them. And I always tell people, you are every single one of you this call, because I know you guys want to give me pushback and say, well, I didn't go through this. I don't know if I have expertise. Every single one of you on this call is at least 2 steps ahead of somebody else on this planet. For sure. All of you have thousands of people that you could support right now. And for those of you who say, well, the market is saturated, there's other people in the market, doesn't matter, because there's not enough people in the world to satisfy the challenges and needs that people have to overcome, right? Because keep in mind, like I said yesterday, some people want to specifically learn from you over another person who's selling the same content, simply because maybe they like that you're a woman. Maybe they like that you are from a certain country like them. Maybe you represent something that, inspires them better than the next person. That's the reason why you can have 1,000 people in the same industry and they're all making money. They're all doing well, because each one of them have a unique attraction factor and pull factor to different audiences. So team no excuses from here on forth. Every one of you have it in you to maximize and monetize your expertise, your triumphs, your learnings, to help other people as a service to others. Okay. So this is where we begin. Now, as you evolve with your first product, then you're able to do new things. So for me, my first product was maybe a course. And then after that, I started doing consulting. And then after that, I started doing live coaching programs. Then I started hosting multi-day conferences, right? You start to build other ways and other solutions to not just monetize your brand, but also support your community of followers who want to continuously learn from you. Usually people who buy a product from you, whether it's a course or whether it's a live coaching program, whether it's any type of consulting session, they usually stay with me for life. Usually when I announce something like, hey, I'm doing a coaching program on this, they come back again and again and again and again, right? Because they've chosen me almost like a life mentor to grow with, to be one of those people that they turn to learn and grow from, right? So that is called the value ladder. As you can see here, here's my product suite of multiple products. So as you build momentum with your first product, then you start to solve solutions for multiple people. And keep in mind, I'm evaluating this every single year. Some things need to be retired. Some things need to be updated in real time to make sure that it's relevant for my constituents, to make sure that they're getting value every time they interact with me, right? And of course, my launch cycle of doing this is always creating a space to give insight like what I'm doing right now, then give the invitation to join me in a more intimate setting, right? And so that cycle for me usually starts with a virtual engagement. So it could be a webinar, it could be a boot camp, it could be a masterclass. It's not a gimmick. It's me coming up live and saying like, look, this is a problem that many of you are facing. It's a challenge that I see a pattern in. And what I want to do is at least make an introduction to tell you why you're facing those challenges, give you some solutions. And if you need help for implementation to take action, here's my invitation to do that. Okay. So that is their journey. And so for some of you who are going to join me on the digital product launch workshop next week, we're going to have tons of templates for you to have a title that works, a description that gets people excited to work with you, and a structure that requires no upfront time commitment for you. You guys will be able to launch literally within minutes. Because the thing is, we're going to teach you the method to be able to share an opportunity for people to work with you before even creating the product, to make sure that you have traction, so you're not wasting your wheels creating something in silo that nobody wants. Nobody wants to do that. And the secret to that, I'll be sharing during the workshop. So that way you're able to constantly interact and reiterate and be able to grow and monetize your brand. The last thing I will say about this before we go into questions is that eventually you're going to get really good at creating an annual profit plan, okay, which is a unique way to map out the monetization strategy of your personal brand. And how I bucket this, I know people talk about 100 different ways to monetize their brand, right? How I bucket this is that, look, there are 100 different ways to monetize your brand, but they usually fall into 5 specific categories. Bucket 1 is usually crowd conversion. Crowd conversion means that you're hosting a conference, an event, some type of interaction where you're pulling people together either online or in person. I'm doing this right now. I brought a crowd together to listen to me speak, to teach them. Okay. So this is what we call crowd conversion. Bucket 2 is what we call content sales. So that's like courses, membership, where I package my thought leadership and expertise into a price point. It could be like a 7-day course, a mini course, whatever, and charge for it. And I get sales through that. That's bucket 2. Bucket 3 is what we call community membership. This is active. I have memberships as well, where people for a monthly flat rate fee can have access to me and my consulting on personal branding and thought leadership every single month, and it's an active community membership. Bucket 4 is what we call corporate revenue. This is where you get speaking engagement contracts or contracts in general from institutional parties. So that could be speaking engagements to speak at the UN, at the Google or Intel, right? These are corporate revenue contracts or brand deals. And in bucket 5 is contract requests, where you're consulting and working with external parties to be able to monetize your brand. And what I tell people, when you're doing an annual profit plan, this is why for some of you, it's not the same. People are teaching you how to monetize your brand in the same generic way. And the reason why so many of you are stuck, because you're not figuring out the exact way that you should be doing it based on your expertise, based on your background, based on your resources. So if I'm looking at someone here on the session today, and this is what we're going to go over next week in the personal brand digital launch workshop next week, is that I'm going to look at your brand and say, okay, here are the 5 different buckets, right, that are available to you. let's actually pick what will work for you right now and build a strategy around it. So I'm going to give you an example. In 2018, my content buckets out of the 5 that are there was these 3. I did bucket 1. 70% of my revenue came from live events. That's why you see the screenshot there of $106,992 from an event that I hosted through Eventbrite. Okay? Majority of my revenue came from that. The second bucket that I was making money on was bucket number 3, which is content sales. I started doing courses, right? So 20% of my revenue came from courses. And bucket number 4 was corporate revenue contracts, where I was speaking at different events, the highest of which were LinkedIn and MasterCard. I believe MasterCard gave me $15K. LinkedIn gave me about like $20K, right? It was different contracts and agreements that I received. So that was 100% of my profitable brand formula for 2018, right? However, again, it's an evolution, right? This is how my personal brand monetization strategy changed in 2023. And the difference between 2018, at the time, I remember I was a mother to 2 girls. So I was able to do the events, but by 2023, I couldn't do a lot of events because by then I was a mother of 4 kids. Okay. So what happens is my whole structure changed based on my lifestyle changes, right? And so my bucket for crowd conversion went from 70% in 2018 to 10% in 2023. What I was making more money on was bucket 2, which is content sales, where I was selling digital courses, and that was 55% of my revenue in 2023. Bucket 3, I piloted a membership. That's when I piloted. So 5% of my revenue came from that. I was getting a lot of digital contracts to speak at different engagements. That's why you see photos of me speaking at different events. That was 20% of my revenue, and then 10% for contracts. So it was more varied, but majority was coming from digital courses. Okay. And then I had a spreadsheet to manage all the different things that I was selling so I could map up. And I had an annual total just on products alone. I made about 71K just looking at that alone, right? Mapping it out. Right. So these are the things where you're looking at your structure or your journey, I always tell people everyone is not created the same. And the blueprint I'm giving you is not just telling you, oh, here's how you can monetize your brand in 30 days. I'm not doing that to you, right? I'm telling you, these are the buckets that you will fall under to monetize your brand. And this is where we're going to look at 2025, right? And look at what you should be capitalizing on right now based on what you have in terms of resources, expertise, and time constraints, right? Because I told you the lifestyle change that I had and how to apply it to your life journey. Are we here with me in terms of comment? Yes, if you're getting the customization of how you can accelerate your brand and monetize faster than anyone in your market just by knowing what to focus on per year. Comment yes if you're getting what I'm putting out and if this is making more sense to you right now. Okay? And so with that said, I'm going to conclude this session by just reinforcing that this is, if you got a lot out of this past 30 minutes and me clarifying the purpose and the structure to actually monetize and package your personal brand in a way that works for you, you will really get a lot out of this virtual workshop invitation, where next week, July 2nd to the 3rd, I'm having a live virtual, more intimate, private 2-day session where I'm going to make sure that you find the monetization model that works for you, how we to compare between courses, coaching, and consulting, so that we can launch immediately. I'll help you write out your entire blueprint, and all of this for $47. And again, after today's Saturday, it will double and increase. Do not email the account. Do not, DM me for a change. It is going to double to the public, right? For us to make sure that, again, the reason why I'm giving it at this price point is to essentially make it accessible, where $47 is literally the price of a meal right now. It's the price of gas to just go up the road. It's literally nothing for you to get so much momentum, and you're going to generate the revenue back immediately. It's just definitely going to happen. You're going to monetize as quickly as possible with this 2-day workshop. It's an amazing start. And I found that when I'm teaching personal branding, people will always say like, yo, what's the first thing I need to conquer? And it's usually not the first 3 steps that I share with you on day 1. Those are crucial to position yourself. But what I realize is the biggest block for people is not knowing what to sell. Once they know what to sell, then they're able to go back to steps 1, 2, and 3, and then be able to kick off and scale their brand from there. So I'm inviting you to overcome that challenge so that way you are able to get to the market as quickly as possible. So the second half of this year is you generating revenue and growing your brand strategically so you could keep scaling from there. So that's my invitation. The link is in the chat. I see people are commenting, yes, you're getting it. You're getting it. Love the energy. Love the energy. Love the feedback from everyone right now. So with that said, any questions on the call before we go into a 5-minute break, transitioning to the next session? Any questions or comments? Questions or comments? And some of the questions I did see coming in the beginning was questions around how do you decide on the price point for monetizing your brand? And it does depend. And we go over price points in depth in the personal brand workshop, digital launch workshop that I'm hosting next week. But what I will tell you is usually pricing depends on the scope of work. Are you consulting for 1 hour? Are you consulting for multiple hours? Are you doing a course that, could give someone an immediate benefit that, they could get in one month? Are you giving them a benefit that could transform their life? All these come into play when it comes to pricing. And truth be told, pricing is an experiment, or you put it out there and you're able to go back and forth. I usually feel like people undersell their price more often than not, just because of confidence issues. And in the workshop that I'm hosting live next week, I will share with you some strategies to be able to do that. Okay. Really great question that came up ahead. So if there are no questions right now, we are going to go in a 5. Tao is saying, where is the link for payment? I'm going to share with you right now the link. And can my LinkedIn people clarify, are people on LinkedIn not able to see the link? Because Facebook, I see people coming in from the Facebook side, because we are live streaming across channels. But for some reason, I'm seeing that people on LinkedIn are not able to see it. Is that what's happening? Can my LinkedIn people tell me what's going on? I want to make sure that you guys are okay and able to see what's going on. Yes. Okay. People are confirming. Okay. Got you. Thank you for that. See, this is why I need you guys to keep me in chat, because sometimes I'm going live on camera and just not seeing what's going on. So I'm going to send it to you guys here directly on LinkedIn. So comment if you are able to see the link on LinkedIn now. It should be ready to go. Steve just confirmed as well. No, we don't. I see you guys networking with each other on the LinkedIn chat too. That's really great. I'm glad that you guys are remembering each other from day one as well. So yes, people are seeing it. Nice. So Ty, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Steve, really appreciate your feedback as well. We just put it on the LinkedIn. I did it myself manually, and the team is tracking. Now I can see on the chat. Thank you so much. That was really kind of you to make note of that. So we should be good. Facebook, you're good. You can hear me. All right. Getting some love on the chat. Thank you so much, Bannerman. Thank you so much, Aisha. Now I see a question that came in. Let me just answer it real quick. I love questions because it helps me see what challenges you guys are going through. So one of the questions I see here is like, how can we create a revenue model that is more reoccurring? Even the digital product is more episodic. Great question. So let me go back to this slide real quick, okay, where I share with you my 2023 strategy. When it comes to something that's more reoccurring, the most reoccurring revenue is usually a membership model, where you have a membership where you tell people like, hey, every month I go live for 1 to 2 hours and give you feedback on this. I actually have a membership model for my personal brand community where every single month I troubleshoot with them. Whatever challenge that they're going through with their personal brand, I troubleshoot with them. It's called my Personal Brand Circle. It's an intimate one where I only invite 15 to 20 people per month to help them with any challenge that they have. So maybe they launch a course, they're struggling with it. Maybe they're trying to close a speaking engagement. They need help with positioning themselves. Maybe they're trying to do a launch strategy. They don't know what to do with their marketing. I help them with that. So comment Circle if you want more information on that. But that is a great model to have a membership. Another thing that I always tell people is that this is where you have to have a content mix. And what I'm going to teach you next week is to create a product that's so easily accessible that you could do a quota, a revenue goal per month to make sure that you're hitting a reoccurring revenue pattern. So maybe not a reoccurring model where it's a membership, but you can have a reoccurring pattern. So for example, if I'll give you a perfect example. I'm very transparent. $47. If I have 10 people per month, accessing that that course, then every single month I'm making about $500, and that's reoccurring. Obviously, because I have a big database, I have more than that coming in every single month. But the point is that what I'm doing there is creating a reoccurring pattern, because I'm like, look, if I'm talking to people, if every week again, this is why I'm saying what you put in is what you put out. If every single week I host a 30-minute webinar and the call to action is for that product, and I know that I want to make at least 10 per month, again, I'm giving you easy numbers, then that's me every single week I need to convert 2 people. No, I'm sorry, about 3 people. It'll get over, but 2 to 3 people, right? Because it's 4 weeks in a month. That's it, right? And this is the reason why I tell you, once you have clarity and alignment, it's just a numbers game, guys. Like, you really can do the repetition. So hopefully that answers your question. Because I agree, the digital product is episodic, but if you are dealing with it in a way where you don't have a repetitive action to get that reoccurrence. Make sense? Okay. Let me see. There was another person asked the same question about the reoccurring model. Just answered that. Thank you so much. I'm getting some great insights, feedback. Nicole, you also can't see it on the chat. Okay. Thank you for that. I'll give you a comment back. And if you are signing up for the workshop next week, please let people know. So people, because I see you guys are already networking on the chat anyway. So let people know, maybe you guys might see each other, on the session. Who knows? You guys will be a community group growing. So yes, community is the way. So please definitely share on the chat that you're joining in. I think a lot of people will get a lot of great momentum to see that we're all in this together. So I'm going to see familiar faces as well. So definitely let us know what's going on with that. Okay. What else do we have here? So the link is shared on the chat. So someone says creators are moving away from just creating content to build community. Yes, because it's not about creating content. It's about answering questions. So I don't look at my content, FYI, on social media as me like top 10 tips to build your personal brand. I hate that. Actually, I really, really, really hate that. I get questions from my community, like what you're doing right now, where people say like, hey, this is my issue. I'm probably going to turn this into a webinar like next week. By the way, which question was this? Yeah, one of the questions that you guys asked, I'm probably going to turn it into a webinar. So that's why, like, when people follow me, engage with me, and I announce that I'm doing a more intimate session to help them take action, they jump on it, because I do my content in a way where it's not just content. I'm not here to be busy. I don't want to be busy. Do you want to be busy? I don't want to be busy, right? I want to be doing something that actually really helps people. And to keep in mind, if I'm doing a webinar per week and it's just 30 minutes or less, that's nothing. But my community loves it because they get something really bite-sized in 30 minutes or less. And they love in the sense that, once they get clarity on what they're trying to figure out, they're like, oh, Kristen, can you help me actually make it happen? And then they could just, join me for a more intimate setting. But the point is that it's gone are the days where you could just create content just to be busy and look active. It's just really annoying to see that, right? And I think people, including yourselves on the call, are fed up with that, right? Comment fed up, or you're fed up for the way people have done things on the internet right now. You want a new way of engaging with people who actually know their stuff, right? We want more honest people, okay, who actually knows what they're doing and can actually share the blueprint, okay? So with that said, someone just said content is becoming a commodity, community is becoming their only mode. Yes, and I'm all about community. Some of you will see that once you enter my world, I want you to stay in my world. I want you to stay in touch with me. I want you to grow with me. I want you to prosper with me. I want to be your guide. And I always tell people, as you grow and evolve, you're always going to look for mentors, because there's always a unique way to do something that you have not figured out. So tap into the people and mentors and influencers that could give you that journey that you vibe with, because it's a vibe. Some of you might not like my vibe, right? Some of you might love how I go about this, but this is how you go about it, okay? I'm going to now pause because I know you guys want to break. So again, be able to take a break now, 5 minutes, because I know we're going into the next session. Any questions you guys put on the chat, I'm going to come back and answer it. Don't worry. So you can still keep running them on the chat. I'm going to engage with them immediately. I'm going to put music on right now. For those of you who are trying to buy access into the workshop next week, again, the link is in the chat. You don't need to worry. It's there. It's in the chat. And so you can access it now. We're going to go on to, again, a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back for the next session. So looking forward to seeing you guys in a few minutes. So 5 minutes break, go ahead, go do your thing. And then we'll be right back live in the next 5 minutes. 5 minutes only, because we have a lot to cover on the next session. Okay?
Christine and Tim.
Christine, Safran, Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
All right, welcome back from break. Hopefully you guys grabbed like a bottle of water, maybe started reviewing some of your notes from the first couple of sessions, but we have a lot to cover. Okay, so we're diving into session 5 now, and wanted to make sure that there were no other questions on the comment section and check to see if I miss anything. Definitely I'll go through it in the next round of questions. But let's dive into session 5. So now we're going to talk about portfolio. So once you get to the point where you have launched your first product and you're doing it strategically in a way that fits your, again, your time, your schedule, your expertise, your resources. So that way you're not fighting. Because again, I've seen so many people try to package and monetize their brands into packages or products that just doesn't fit or suit their needs at the time, which is why they struggle and do all the things, but it just doesn't work, right? So once we find the right model for you, then we need to actually manage your brand. How do you manage your brand in a way that doesn't create burnout? Because that's something that I see a lot, that people do too much with their brand. They're like juggling between creating content, doing social media, trying to launch a podcast, trying to do a book, trying to do speaking engagements, and they get overwhelmed because they have not really created an operating system to manage and grow and scale their brand. So what happens is that you get to a point of frustration where you're doing all the activities, but it's not converting into opportunities, or even worse, it's not even generating or creating or building momentum around a community that truly believes in what you're offering, right? So you just feel like you're just working for the sake of working and visibility. And one of the biggest things I always tell people, you should never try to build your personal brand for visibility. You're trying to build your personal brand to add value in the face of others through information and wisdom that really helps people, again, accomplish a problem, right? Again, going back to that quote, the moment your name becomes a solution, that's when you know you've won. I always want to seal that into your head. So it gives you a more grounded and practical view of what this personal brand reinvention challenge is supposed to be for you. That it's not meant to be this movement where, oh, what's my logo? What's my website? All these things are distribution strategies so you could package and make yourself look professional. But at the end of the day, it has to be rooted into something foundational and concrete. And that's what I want to get you to, because it makes it easier for you to grow and accelerate your brand portfolio wise when you have something concrete to build it from. Okay. So with that said, I want to talk about time management a little bit, because I do feel that burnout is so real right now. Common burnout, if you've experienced burnout, and you could be honest and open, you've experienced burnout, you're on the verge of burnout, or you just like, look, like I'm not burned out, but I'm getting there, right? And I think all of us as working professionals, as mothers, fathers, uncles, aunties, CEOs, corporate advisors, whatever, craft that you're in right now, a lot of us are stretched thin right now, right? This overstimulation in so many different facets. And you got to really prioritize how you want to live your life. And what personal branding strategy does is help you decide on where you commit your time to grow your career, grow your wealth, but also grow your legacy, right? So when we think about the wheel of life here, right? There's so many different things that you're balancing on a regular basis. And it's about 8 categories. So your spirituality, what gives you faith and momentum to believe in what's possible, family, right? Personal growth. What are you doing to grow and learn so that when you have a challenge to overcome that makes you and builds you to be the best version of yourself? How is your finances managed? We all know that if our finances are not covered well, we get really, really constrained and stressed out, right? What's your career goals? What's your health regimen? How are your relationships with your family, your friends, your significant others? What is your social life? Are you having time to yourself? Are you having time to really build a community around you? Like, there are different priorities, right, that need to be balanced. And what we find is that everyone always talks about the career and finance, right? But you're more than your just career and finance, attributes. Like, you have to really do maintain your health, your relationships, your family, your spirituality. These are all things that come in and out when it comes to mapping out. And one of the biggest questions that I get from individuals is like, okay, how do I organize my personal brand in the scheme of me working at an organization or launching a business? Like, some people are very confused on how to map out, I would say, the organizational chart of their life, right? Their life organizational chart is what I call it. And I want to dive into, like, if you are a corporate professional, this is something I see all the time. What I immediately see is that corporate professionals completely align themselves with the corporate institution. So God forbid they're laid off from that institution or they leave the institution voluntarily. They have an identity crisis. Like, so a lot of people would say they worked for Google for 5 years, leave Google. Like, what are they outside of Google? It's like, because their entire personal brand and identity has been tied to that institution. And what I want to remind you is that throughout your life, if you want to have stability, control, and growth in a way that really creates fulfillment, is you actually removing yourself away from entities and look at entities, whether it's a corporate career or entrepreneurial career, as vehicles for you to execute on the calling that God has given you. Okay. So you look at it as your personal brand is the hierarchy, it's the central point organization. And what comes after that is all these different things that you're going to do along your career journey. So it could be your corporate job, it could be side hustles, it could be other volunteer, activations. Same for entrepreneurs, right? I'm a serial entrepreneur. So this is my organization chart. My personal brand at the top, what I'm known for, what people see me for. But I also have several businesses in the market. Business 1, business 2, and business 3. And under that, what gives me fulfillment is also the projects and initiatives and volunteer activations that I do. But the point is, I'm not dependent on just one business. I'm not just ingrained and identified by just a sole business. I'm still who I am, my personal brand. And I'm able to institutionalize that personal brand to bring in revenue, to gain gains and resources. So that way, as I'm amplifying the other brands that I have, which is my business brands, I'm still reinforcing my central brand, which is myself and my identity and what I want to be known for based on my life experiences. Because your life experiences cannot be defined through one business, right? Your life experiences is very multifaceted. This is the why your personal brand being the core anchor before you really dive into aligning yourself with other institutions is so, so important, okay? And so usually what I tell people when it comes to organizing your personal brand, the 2 main things that you need to make sure that you have, and it's not just about social media, about Google templates. This is about having a CRM and a checklist. And the highly recommended CRM that I will tell all of you guys to go out there and start with is ConvertKit, otherwise known as kit.com. Simply because it's free for first-time users. You could, accumulate up to 10,000 people through your newsletter without having to pay a dime. So I think it's a really great CRM system to start with. And what's going to happen as you build and grow your personal brand, you're going to get to the floor where you're going to build a community around your thought leadership, right? Around the work and experiences that you're sharing. So every time you post a webinar, every time you do an event, every time you do a speaking engagement, as people are viewing those experiences of you sharing your thought leadership, you're going to start accumulating their contact information, their emails. And again, I share this in a different way than what you've been told. A lot of people look at it from a marketing perspective, and I'm a crazy great marketer, but I want to add humanity and evolution to this thought process, because I do feel like how you've been told how to evolve your personal brand is a little bit too convoluted. I want you to take a step and think about, okay, every time I host, again, a webinar or do an event or do a program or go to a networking session, I'm creating a community around the thought leadership that I have as a person, right? So if I go to 10 events per year, if I host about 4 webinars per month, if I do 4 master classes per quarter, all those have an audience, whether the audience is 5 people, whether the audience is 100 people per experience. The point is I am accumulating a community of people who are following and engaging with my thought leadership. And some of them will decide and say like, hey, out of all the people I listen to in this world, I think you really know your stuff and I want to work with you in a deeper capacity. What is the best way to work with you? And that's where the CRM comes in, is because you're staying in touch with these people as you're doing these activations with your personal brand and your thought leadership. And they start to say, it's worth putting a premium and a payment to buy a course from you, get a coaching session from you, do a consulting session from you. You start to see a pattern where you start to get really good at monetizing those in-depth experiences because you're able to give thought leadership in a way that showcases that you know yourself, right? And so with that said, as you build that out, I want you to also think about your daily routine. Once you have systems in place, like just one CRM, I'm not saying getting, social media plugins and all these different gadgets and AI tools. One CRM is all you need, one dashboard to manage your brand. And it will take you to a level you've never seen before, okay? With that dashboard, what you're going to do, this is my daily routine that I will share with you, is that once you have executed on what we shared already in steps 1, 2, 3, you have a personal brand statement, so you know who you want to serve, what you want to do, and why you want to do it. You have a pitch call to action where you are telling people how they can engage with you on a regular basis. So it could be like, engage with me with my weekly newsletter, engage with me via LinkedIn with thought leadership, whatever it is. And you're constantly giving content or feedback, maybe every day, maybe every week, maybe every month. The frequency is up to you. But the point is you're sharing something to the public to tell them that, I'm really about this topic, right? Then you're going to come and think of it as a community. Your personal brand owns its own institution. You start by signing into your email, because many of you, like for example, my website is christineandtim.com. But the email to connect with me, my team, is hello@christineandtim. So let's start with looking at the email to see how many of you who are in my database are emailing me. Some of you have emailed the account several times, and my team has been going through it. Accessing access to the link for the workshop, access for links to the replays, access for links for other resources, right? Your email, you're going through your email on a daily basis and responding to messages. After 5 minutes of that, you go to your dashboard, which is the CRM I talked about, which is Kit, and you're seeing how many people signed up for your next webinar. 10, great. The following week, maybe you want to double it to 20. So if you're going to double it to 20, but you only have 10 people on average signing up to your webinars, maybe you're going to do a lot more posts or conversations on social media to increase it, right? So you're looking at your dashboard, seeing how many times you generated revenue around your thought leadership, right? Then you might go, after 5 minutes of reviewing dashboard, you go 15 minutes work on LinkedIn. And remember, I shared with you in session 2 the exact strategy to make LinkedIn work for you. It's not about posting all the time. It's about also engaging and commenting on your ideal clients' pages, so you're building rapport with people who might want to work with you, right? And in 15 minutes, you're going to lay out your webinar content, 30 minutes or less webinars where you are saying consistently, I'm going to go live either in audio format, written format, or video format. You choose. But on a regular basis, you're going to give thought leadership. And when I say thought leadership, it's really you having conversations. I know we use this word a lot, but it's really you just having conversations. So you might say, this week, I want to talk to you guys about how I was able to launch my first speaking engagement, get my first speaking engagements. And for 30 minutes, I talked about what I did, how I closed the contract, what I learned, and that's it. If you want to hear more about it, this is what to do, right? 15 minutes laying out what you're going to talk about for the week, for the month. That's it. And then you go do those activities and you go back to your dashboard and see like, how many people are engaging with you? And then you're done. And every single day within an hour or less, you are literally building, scaling, and monetizing your brand in a simple way with one dashboard tool. That's it. That is it. And I know for some of you, this might feel like, wow, like this is so shocking to see like how crazy simple that is, right? But the point is that some of you are overcomplicating the process of building and monetizing your brand, sincerely. And in our Personal Brand Launch Academy, we give you templates on how to respond to messages, how to engage with people on social media, how to do these activities. So it is 15 minutes or less, because again, I'm going to keep reiterating the fact that I'm a mom of 4 to show you that I'm not someone who believes in burnout. I'm not someone who believes in prioritizing social media over family time, over reflection time, over just you and growth time. I'm someone who's very decisive about my time. I know how to say no a lot, right? To make sure that I'm doing things that matter to me, that make me happy, but also serve a need. Okay. So you'll find that a lot of my strategies are actually quite simple and easy to replicate, that even a child can build their brand with the strategies that I'm sharing. Even a child could do it. Okay. My oldest is 9. She's already doing things with her personal brand, right? I don't have her on social media at all, but in the background through school, how she communicates, how she presents, I already have her building reputation in a community of people who follows her thought leadership around certain topics, right? So this is the point, that it has to be simple in order for you to grow it, enjoy it, and also learn along the journey of doing it, okay? So in looking at my daily activities, and what I want to share with you, this is the secret behind my calendar. From Monday to Friday, I usually have a 30-minute daily activity of how I really build on my brand, irrespective of my team, because I do have a team now, but I still do this myself manually just to make sure that I'm still grounded in navigating my personal brand appropriately over time. Okay. So what I do here is 10 a.m. I start posting on social and looking at, what engagements I'm doing. And I'm literally just just posting updates, articles, information, and engaging with people on LinkedIn. I'm commenting, engaging, just to keep, my network engaged. Between 11 to 3, I'm doing posts and articles, but really not just posts, but I don't really do the sharing of random articles. It's usually that I'm posting about updates and conversations I'm going to have for the week. Check my email for any messages, check social media for any messages and DMs, because I get a lot of DMs, right? And then, of course, refer to my team, anything beyond that, but just, skimming through a lot of activity. One thing that I take to heart is I actually don't schedule any calls Mondays and Fridays. I usually do the bulk of my work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, because I think Monday is a time for reflection for me to set the tone for the week. I think also Mondays, people are crazy. People don't want to talk on Mondays. That's just my thought process, right? Fridays is usually a time where I really focus on errands and just winding down and taking into account some reflection points for the next week and really reflecting on what I did accomplish during that week. So that's usually my routine. So if you notice, it's not really a lot of work, but it's consistent. It's boring. Okay. And on Saturdays and Sundays, I usually don't do work on Sundays, because Sundays is where we go to church. Personally, for me, we're a faith-led family. So I have my family times on Sundays. But on Saturdays, every once in a while, every other Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. for 2 hours, I do content creation, which is pretty much me mapping out things I want to talk about. And I don't do a lot of content strategy where I'm like, oh, what is the next trend? I literally listen to what people say or what people ask me, and I turn it into content. So if you ask me a question on this feed and you see a webinar come up with this topic, thank you so much, because you are telling me what you want to hear. And I keep it like that, right? And so I don't do big slide presentations. I usually communicate basic concepts to make sure that it's digestible for people. And it helps people to execute better when I do that, and keep it very simple. And that is like my Monday to Sunday schedule, right? So what you want to do is like, look at, the journey that I just shared with you, and how do you want to execute on your brand on a daily basis to a point where it's not overwhelming, but actually quite manageable, right? And quite exciting for you. All right. So if you look here, this is a screenshot of my calendar, my spreadsheets, my dashboard, my Google Calendar, my LinkedIn. These are the things that I circulate through when I'm looking at my 2025 plan. The first thing I always go to is my dashboard. Second is my emails. And then, of course, I always even though I have my CRM, I always have a spreadsheet as backup to just make sure I'm tracking everything. And of course, social media content planning goes hand in hand. So it's really not a lot of tools, but the most important thing is my dashboard. My dashboard is where I really track to keep momentum, to make sure that everything is centralized, all my digital products, all my announcements, my consulting sessions, all booked through one platform. Okay. So that way I am not overwhelming myself. I can know exactly my personal brand, this amount of revenue today, this amount of revenue this week, this amount of revenue this month. And more importantly, when I look at my emails and my DMs, my personal brand brought in 5 speaking engagements, brought in 4 brand deals this month, right? I'm able to see through the messages and communications and outreach what I'm receiving in terms of opportunities. But from a monetization standpoint, I have my dashboard to tell me how I'm monetizing the wealth of my expertise over time. Very simple 2 things I'm checking on a regular basis. And if I feel like it's on the lower end, then I do some activities to keep those conversations going. If it's on the high end, do I double down? Do I scale? I make those decisions as I go, but I am the CEO of my life, where I am constantly looking at what my personal brand is doing for me and others, and how that fits into the scheme of being a mother, a wife, but also a serial entrepreneur with multiple businesses, always on the road traveling. Okay. So I wanted to share that with you. So with that said, this was a shorter session because it was meant to, first and foremost, cover portfolio management and time management for yourselves. Again, just want to give you guys another invite, shout out for the workshop. But the point I want to make here, and looking at my social media, right? One of the biggest things that I want to reinforce is, like, if you have a question like, well, how do I build an audience from scratch? I turned my LinkedIn into a landing page. And so what I done, and this is something that I said from the previous session, is like, if you look at my LinkedIn page right here, my title is not just that I'm the CEO of the Global Startup Ecosystem. They can scroll down and find that in my experience section. My title starts with my value, my personal brand statement, which is helping founders launch scalable startups and personal brands online. That is it. Okay. Then when you go into my call to action, in my about section has my bio information, which is a story as to how I got there. But in my feature section, I have my call to action items. So one of them is usually what I'm on a campaign about. So right now I'm doing the 7-day personal brand challenge. So that's definitely there. So people could comment, sign up, interact, and get signed up for that. My one-on-one consulting sessions, where it's customized one-on-ones. People book on a regular basis for that. And then bookings for speaking engagements. This was one of my favorite speaking engagements. The call to action for that is how to book me for your next event. Very simple. Usually throughout the year, I probably don't change it more than once or twice. Probably the only thing I change is the first one, which is what I'm usually on campaign, maybe a masterclass, a webinar, or whatnot. But usually the speaking and consulting sessions are usually the top other 2 that's featured. So these are my call to action buttons. Okay. And then for experience, I have multiple experiences, but I do have one experience for my personal brand, which is Christina Tim & Co., which is my website, ChristinaTim.com, as a speaker, coach, and corporate trainer. And as a portfolio of traction, where if you want to work with me as a coach, you want me to coach and mentor you, there's content on that. If you want to invite me to speak at your event, there's content on that. If you want me to do a corporate facilitation, there's content on that. Very easy. So like my LinkedIn becomes a medium of opportunity for me, where it's not just me listing out my accolades. I'm telling people exactly how to engage with me. So that way, when I go back to my dashboard here, right, I'm seeing how the traffic to my LinkedIn is generating opportunities for me on the back end. Okay. Just wanted to share that with you. Okay. So with that said, before we go into session 6, are there any questions? I see some comments coming in, which is great. Let me see if there are any questions. Oh, this is great. Can you share a little bit more about your content strategy? For example, film one video and chop it up. Different, what tools are you using? Is your team helping you? How to use AI? What is the feedback look? So again, I do have a team, but I do not, and I will repeat this, I do not use multiple apps and posts. I mean, every once in a while, if I'm in a campaign season, I might try things. Every year I do try different tools for a certain period of time before integrating into my team. But I actually have, my tech stack is very simple. I actually have no more than 4 different technologies that I use. So I have my CRM dashboard, which is, for me, it's Kajabi. but I recommend ConvertKit for those of you who are starting out because it's the least expensive one. So I do have multiple businesses and some of them do use ConvertKit, but for right now, my CRM is Kajabi. The second tool set that I use on a regular basis, quite frankly, is StreamYard, because I'm always streaming, always going live, and always sharing content leadership through my webinar. So that's the second tool that I use. The third tool that I use is Google. And when I mean Google, my Google Workspace, my Gmail account. I have a professional email account that I use to engage, outreach, and do a lot of different campaigns. That's the third one. And the fourth tool that I use on and off on a regular basis is really centered around my QuickBooks to make sure that I'm managing, Canva. QuickBooks is my fifth one, but Canva, because I design a lot of my promotional material to make sure that it's easy and digestible for others. So that's my tech stack. So I do not do all the things with all the AI, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe in that. But what I do in terms of my content strategy, like I said, what I actually do more of is planning out the year and about 2 or 3 months in advance. So I will have the topics I want to talk about at least 90 days in advance every quarter. So I'm not figuring out what to talk about. So webinars, I have at least 12 webinars per quarter that I put out there that I know in advance I'm going to talk about. I work my way backwards with what I want to do per year. So maybe I want to do 4 different major campaigns. And so I work my way backwards from there. So I look at like, what is my audience looking for and how can I serve them through content? So weekly content is great, but how do I give them something digestible? So this personal brand reinvention challenge, it's pretty much once a year at this point, right? So I'm doing this right now and that's it. Like, that's it. I'm not going to go live on this several times a year because it's a very intense back-to-back rubric of content. So that's how I go about it in terms of my content strategy. I really just work my way backwards and strategize in advance what I want to talk about and then go live and talk about it. And so hopefully that answered your question. Any other questions? Any more questions? Oh, this is another great one. So more holistic. So I'm guessing you're responding to the pie chart, right? That I put. Let me go back so I can make sure that was. I think you were referring to this is a more holistic vision of wealth, like the pie chart. Okay. Let me know what you think. I've made a lot of these. How can I productize? I signed up for the digital. Great. I'm glad that you signed up for the workshop. I'm looking forward to seeing you. So perhaps we could discuss, most definitely. But how do you productize? So productize is really turning your knowledge into expertise into packages. And what a lot of people struggle with, and this is why I'll again reiterate the invitation to join me for the workshop. What a lot of people struggle with is that, okay, first challenge that many of you guys probably face is, which product package should I use for my brand right now that's going to work as the front-facing thing? You can have multiple products, but what should be the front-facing thing that I do for people, okay? For a lot of people, it's consulting, because consulting is one-on-one. It's the easiest thing to monetize immediately tomorrow right now. If you DM a couple of people, you could get someone to want to sign up for a consulting session with you if you give a right good price point as an entry point, right? And the second thing is not only deciding what, but the second thing is like, okay, what's your price and what do I call it? Because right now, one of the biggest things I'm going to be helping you guys with is like how to title your first packaged product and how to describe it properly. Because what a lot of people struggle with is making it relevant. And a lot of people, they want what you have to offer, but because you didn't title it properly, they don't know if they need it. Okay. So these are things that we think about. It's like, okay, how do you create things that people need and want, but you position it in a way where people can receive it well and want to buy it from you? This is the reason why we're going to share during the workshop how to pick the strategy that works for you and how to put it out there in the market as quickly as possible without operating in silos. You're not wasting time, because the last thing I want you to do is waste the time, create something, create a course, and you realize that no one wants it, right? So those are the things that we'll go over, but that is how you productize. You actually think about what's the best way to package your expertise. One, how do you title and describe it? And then how do you put it out there? Do you email people about it? Do you DM people about it? Do you do a combination of all of the sort? How do you get it out there in an easy way so people can respond? Okay. So with that said, that was a great question. Any other questions on the chat? So this is another great question. He said, I have a white paper I wrote questions, how do I productize or sell this? I've made a ton of them through my knowledge. So this is a great example. So let's say you have a white paper. So you have some thought leadership on the white paper. In order for you to convert that to knowledge, you have to convert it into something that people will want to ingest as thought leadership. So some people might convert that into a webinar and teach about it. And the call to action is doing a live one-on-one coaching session where people will join the live from that thought leadership paper. You could either do a course around it, like you do a white paper selling some, talking about some type of framework or solution. And then you say like, look, I'm going to do a course on this and you charge for that. You could turn that white paper into a speaking engagement, a signature talk, and you get booked to go speak at certain conferences and events. Right? There's multiple ways to do that. And we could talk about that in the workshop. But the point is that as a white paper, that won't sell because a white paper doesn't solve anything. It's sharing knowledge. I'm glad we talked about this. You're not trying to share knowledge. You're trying to leverage the knowledge that you have to solve something for someone. So let's say the white paper is about how some the trends and trends and analysis of how many people are going to colleges in the 21st century. Great white paper, very insightful, a lot of trends and stats. That's not going to sell. But if you say like, based on this white paper, I'm going to do a webinar teaching people what is the best strategy to get into colleges in the 21st century based on the white paper of leadership I learned of how to do that. So now you got people signing up for your webinar where you're teaching them the strategy because you are an expert on what the trends are. And then someone might be on that webinar and say like, hey, can you do any private sessions with my child? Now the monetization comes up and you can sign up people within the month. Boom. Do you see that evolution? So I want to make that clear. You're not selling knowledge. Knowledge is free. We could get knowledge from everywhere. You guys could find out about personal branding everywhere. What I'm giving you is strategy. What I'm giving you is insight to break your mental barriers. What I'm giving you is step-by-steps. What I'm giving you is clarity. What I'm giving you is behind-the-scenes information, spreadsheets, information, templates, make you speed up. That's what I'm giving you in thought leadership. I don't need to give you content. You have enough content. Guys, you have enough content. I'm going beyond that. I'm giving you strategy, insights, clarity, templates, shortcuts. Boom. That's what you're paying for. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to get that clarity. So with that said, that's how you do that. All right. So we are going to dive into session 6, which is all about playbooks. And this one is really going to be by far probably going to be one of the most insightful sessions of the series, because I'm going to talk to you about how to scale your brand using live events. Pretty much, I'm going to show you the secrets to what I'm doing right now. Yes, I'm going live. This is considered a conversion event. I'm not shy and humble. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Many of you are literally, I'm seeing the pings go off right now. I signing up and paying me money to work with me in depth next week. Very simple. I am literally living and breathing example of what I'm teaching you right now. So what I'm going to do in the next session is teach you how to do the same. Okay. I'm going to give you an overview of one of the best strategies called live launching to be able to introduce yourself. Because some of you, it's a reinvention challenge. I'm going to show you how to reintroduce yourself to your community and how to convert that into dollars in a way that sustains you and kicks off your personal brand to another level. You're not going to want to miss the next session. And then after session 6 and 7, then we're going to do some live LinkedIn audits. Some of you shared your links from yesterday, so my team's going to help me pull some of those links. Hopefully we don't have any technical challenges with bringing the LinkedIn up on the screen. But the point is that we are going to dive right into this in the next 5 minutes. So I'm going to give you guys like a 5-7 minute break. We're going to come back. Of course, you can answer questions. Someone was asking again for the link for the workshop. I'll put it again here on the chat. My LinkedIn family, yes, I'll share with you separately the LinkedIn, because for some reason on the other channels, people are seeing it, but on LinkedIn, it's very hard. And I'll come back and answer more questions for sure. So give you guys another 5 minutes break. We're going to come back and then we're going to dive into a mind-blowing way. I'm going to share with you exactly how I monetize and kick off my brand on a regular basis throughout the year. That brings me community members, clients, stakeholders, speaking engagements, everything, all of the above. I'm going to teach you how to do that in the next session.
Christine and Tim.
Christine, Safran, Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
All right, welcome back, guys. So that was a quicker break, but guys, we're almost there. We have so much to cover. So let's dive into the next session. And I already told you my excitement about this session specifically, because this is the strategy that I feel like for a lot of you it might be mind blown, because I feel like people don't talk about these type of strategies. These are the ones where the guru will tell you maybe what I've covered in sessions 1 to 5 and maybe session 7. But this is the heart of the secret of how they're able to scale and reintroduce themselves online in the way that, first off, sparks curiosity, gains momentum, and really monetizes really well. So that's what I'm going to share with you in session 6 that we're about to dive into right now. I see some questions about digital products. I'm going to come right back to Q&A at the end. I just want to make sure that we dive right in this for those of you who came in online for the specific part right here. Okay. So with that said, let's dive into this conversation. So we are really just trooping here, okay? When I told you this is a 7-part operating system of building and scaling your personal brand, not just in a moment in time, but across your life, across your career. This is a way to actually systematically build and grow your brand organically, strategically, and financially, and build a legacy and wealth that you want to see in the world. And we have covered so much thus far. We are now in the 6th session. And this is where I want to share with you the playbook. The playbook inside a secret of how to scale your personal brand. This is what by now, and you're going to see this pattern and you're going to just be dumbfounded by this. But this is what everyone who is a conscious consultant, entrepreneur, or influencer online does to not only build trust, build community, add value, but scale their brand and monetize it. So whether you are looking at celebrities like Gary Vee, he does this. Whether you're looking at, life coaches like Lisa Nichols, whether you're looking at entrepreneurs like myself, Christine and Tim, right? I could put myself in those categories. This is how you are able to grow and build your brand online in the way that creates a crowd, creates momentum, and helps people to take action. Because a lot of you've been indecisive for a while. Let's be honest. You knew that you had to deal with something, fit the gaps with your personal brand, but you've been a little bit on the fence and indecisive with certain things. And hopefully I've accomplished the first barrier that you've been facing, which is giving you a lot more clarity on how to actually simplify things and really take action on your personal brand. And that's my hope for many of you today. And so with that said, let me share with you where you would begin. And if you were to today say, okay, I've learned a lot today and I want to go out there and launch my personal brand to the public. I want to launch a product. I want to get out there and I want to do it in a, not so much a huge way, but in a way that creates momentum. Where would you begin? Some of you might say, well, I'll start a social media campaign. Some of you might say, I'll go to a bunch of networking events, or I'll go on tour. Like, a lot of you will give me some creative ideas on how to get momentum around your content, around your brand, so on and so forth. Well, realistically, it's not even that complicated. All you need to do is not do weeks of social media posts, not go through months of different networking events to speak or promote or partner or collaborate. None of that is really necessary. What you need to do is host one live virtual event where there is a call to action at the end of that event. And this is a little bit more than a webinar. This is not just a webinar where you're tackling a specific problem for someone to build rapport, like a webinar. This is like you saying, like, yo, for a certain period of time, I'm inviting my network on LinkedIn, socials, emails, chat, WhatsApp, whatever, to come in and hear me share thought leadership, information, solutions on a subject matter for a period of time. This challenge that you guys are in is a perfect example of that, where I said that for 7 days or for 7 sessions, I'm going to help you find clarity, alignment, and understanding on how to actually map out your personal brand strategically for life. That's what I said I was going to do during the session. And over the past couple of sessions, I've showed you how to find purpose, how to position yourself on social media, how to build a pipeline, how to monetize your first product, how to create a playbook. Like, I literally walk you through that journey through this 7 days. And what happens is that you start to see, like, well, if she's able to give me so much value, and not just value from a content perspective. I'm not trying to be a content creator here. That's not my MO. Value from an insight and strategic perspective, where you're like, I actually have clarity that I didn't have before coming to this session. Then what happens is, it's like, you're now going to have endorphins in you where you're excited. You have hope. You have inspiration. You want to take action. For those of you who are not here to just add another learning point, because some of you are not action takers, and that's unfortunate, because you're just going to keep staying and learning more. But some of you are ready to go. You want to take this into action. And this is where I would invite you to say, okay, you could do a lot of different things next, because I walk you through the entire operating system for your entire life. I'm telling you, don't do all of it at once. I'm telling you, the first thing that I know that people always get stuck with first is creating the right product to go to market with. That's what I've told you, because I have worked with countless of people. I've seen this happen over and over again. They'll try to do a social media strategy. They're not monetizing. They're pissed off. They'll try to do a content strategy. They're not monetizing. They're pissed off. Or they'll launch a product, but they didn't do it well, and they're pissed off, right? I'm telling you, there's a way to do this, and I'm inviting you to a follow-up experience where I could do that in a more intimate way, because I can't do it for the masses. It's impossible. I don't have the time, the bandwidth, the energy, or the monetary capital to allow to do that without some type of investment from you. And I'm inviting you to do this in an investment that I know you can afford, because I know once you're in my community, the way I'm going to add so much value and commitment to you, you're going to want to stay and work with me for the long run. That's it. One live virtual event. And I could do this several times a year. I could do it one time a year. But the point is, you could comment. Tell me the truth. How do you feel being on this session? Are you getting anything? Right? Do you feel like this is helpful anyway? Right? Are you actually gaining momentum from being on this session? Tell me the truth. You could call me out. We are live and well. You could tell me, Christine, this was a waste of time. Right? But essentially, my hope is, if I showed up for you the way you expected, or maybe I show up for you in a way that you didn't expect, you should be in a crossroads right now. It's like, okay, I want to do more. What's the next step? Right? And so let me walk you through what that looks like. So the power of a virtual event for your personal brand is bar none. This is something, if you have $0 in the bank, you will see traction. There's no upfront cost. You don't need to buy it, pay for a tool. You could go live on social media for free. You don't need a team. I'm on this live. My team is in the background on the emails, but I am doing this live because I love doing this. Okay. No software needed. I don't need any type. Like, if I wanted to, I didn't even have to do slides, guys. I could just talk to you for 7 hours. I promise you, I can't. Right? The PowerPoint is almost a bonus at this point. But can you imagine being able to scale your brand, going live just by just sharing stuff from your knowledge, from your experiences, live with a call to action at the end that really gives people momentum and a solution? That's it. And the reason why I said that, you actually have to give people a call to action towards the end. The worst feeling in the world is to give you all this knowledge and not tell you what to do with it. Because at the end of the day, I'm not selling you. I want to service you. I want to give you a solution. I want to come up and show up for you on a deeper level. And in order for you to be served well, you got to also come back to me and say, I can make an investment to start working with you right now. Let's move forward, right? So we're talking about you doing something that requires no money, no team, and no complicated software. Just go live. Okay? I want that to sink in a little bit. All right? So with that said, there's only 3 things that you need to do this. 3 things. Don't complicate it. I'm always very simplified. And again, in the Personal Brand Launch Academy, yes, we give you templates, campaigns, countdowns, ways to grow your email list, whether to get the word out there. So you have, instead of like 50 people to go live organically by yourself, maybe you have thousands of people. You have thousands of people to sign up for my live events, okay? But at the end of the day, no matter what the size and scope of it is, you just need 3 things. You need a date, because people need time, need pressure. You need to give them a date. So the date I gave you was yesterday and today. That's the only time I'm doing it. That's it. You need a topic. The topic is what you guys have said countless of times via email, social media. Christina, I feel stuck. I've been so accomplished. I've been doing so much, but I need to up-level myself. I need to take my brand to the next level. I think I need a reset. I need a reinvention. How do I do that? So I gave you the topic, 7-day Personal Brand Reinvention Challenge. Okay? And you need to offer. Because at the end of the day, I know that this is not enough, that you need to take action. So my offer is the workshop that I've been inviting you guys to since yesterday, and many of you have already signed up. I'm seeing the pings come in on a regular basis, right? And with those 3 things, I'm able to serve well, show up well, give you the best of me, and make sure that you walk away with more than you even expected. So if I can do it, you could do the same thing too. You can show up, give people a date, give them a topic worth discussing, and offer them a way to work with you so you can help them accomplish what you address in that topic on that date. You can do the same. Every single one of you can show up for others right now, live, even tomorrow if you wanted to, and do these 3 things. You can. We could get into the nitty-gritty of how to do that. Yes, but you can do these 3 things. Are we with me, right? I want to make sure everyone's with me, okay? Because this is a concept and an approach that a lot of people usually overthink, and it's not complicated, okay? So with that said, as stated before, the tools you need to do that is a hosting platform to stream. I'm using Streamline to stream across multiple different areas, but you could just pick, I'm just going to stream on LinkedIn. That's fine. A presentation format, I could go live on video and just talk to camera. That's perfectly fine. A lot of people actually do talk to camera and probably have their notes on the side. I like the PowerPoint Canva because I like to give visuals while I'm teaching. And then, of course, a payment booking. Some of you might be PayPal. Some of you might be a dashboard. For me, it's clearly my my company webpage, right, that you guys have booked and trusted me to put your dollars in and say, like, hey, I'm invested. I want to take the next step, right? 3 simple tools. That's it. Some of you, your tool might be a Calendly booking where people can book one-on-one consultation calls with you and then pay you directly through PayPal. Very easy to do. But the point is, the tools are not that complicated either. Okay? So I want you guys to now comment. Hearing what I just said, give me the date. I want to hold you guys accountable. Okay? Give me a date of when you want to relaunch your personal brand to the public. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds here. On the chat feed, give me a date. Is it going to be July 15th? Is it going to be August 1st? Is it going to be, July 28th? I don't care what the date is, but give me a date. Give me a date that you want to go live and give value to your community for at least 2 to 3 hours. Give me a date. I want to call you out. Give me dates, guys. On the chat feed, I want to see dates come through. I'm looking through the chats on this side as well. Give me dates. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's not be shy now. You guys were asking crazy amount of questions before. Now I'm telling you to hold yourself accountable, and now it's silence. Give me dates, guys. Give me dates. So someone said Labor Day 2025. Let's not pick a holiday, though, because you want people to show up. And Labor Day, I think everyone's going to be shaking their bum-bums and having a good time in the sun. So let's pick a date that people can actually show up for, okay? So someone said Labor Day 2025. Let's give me some dates. Let's hold yourself accountable. This is the reinvention challenge, right? So what's the day where you're going to come out to the public and say, here I am. Here's one where I want to add value for 2 to 3 hours. Which date will that be? And as these dates come in, I want you to take note of what it forces you to think about when you have to pick a date. All right. So I've seen some dates come in now. Right? Beautiful. Beautiful. They're coming in now. What went through your mind when you had to pick that date? Tell the truth. What went through your mind? You realize like, damn, like this is moving from theory to actually like, well, she's telling us we got to do this and we got to put a date on it. What was going through your mind when you had to pick a date? Someone said, I will launch a Labor Day weekend for runners. Okay, cool. So you have a strategy to it. Understood. So we got a couple of dates here. What was going through your mind, guys, when you had to pick a date to go live? What did it do to you internally? It forced you to think of like, okay, what am I doing the next couple of weeks? What's my time schedule? Can I do it? Can I think of a topic? Okay, I won't be ready next week, but I'll be ready. A lot was going through your mind, wasn't it? This is the power of commitment and accountability. Once you put a date on it, that was just an internal. You're saying it to us. We're a community right now, okay? We're saying it to each other. What happens when you put that date out to the public? When you officially announce, say, hey, guys, I'm going live on August 15th, right? Kirsten, right? I'm going live on August 15th. Ty, July 30th on this topic for 2 to 3 hours. Sign up to hear more. Now, people are going to be waiting to see if you're going to show up. Newman just said mid-October. I need a date. No mids, no beginning, no ends. I need a date. Date. Because when you do mid, that's mean you could change it from the 17th to the 18th to the 15th. We're not doing any changes. Date. Give me a date. Okay? We're not playing here. We're doing dates. All right? Because it forces you to make decisions and to take action and work towards it. And it gives you pressure. Remember, diamonds are made out of pressure. Pressure is actually a good thing, guys. Right? So with that, as the comments keep coming in where you guys are giving me dates on when you're going to show up, when you're going to do certain things, right? Where you're going to launch your personal brand and put it out there, what you're going to do. Let's talk about accountability once again. I do want you guys to join the Personal Brand Launch community and put these dates on there. Me and my team will follow up to see if you're actually doing it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we are. We're going to do this, okay? So I'm going to put this on the thread right now. Join the Facebook group because I want to make sure that you put the date on the group as well. And then we're going to follow up and DM you. It's like, how's it going? Are you live? Are you going? Like, we're going to make sure. Okay? Beautiful. She said October 24th. She pushed it back. All right. So again, I just shared the Facebook group link for you guys to join. So that way we're making sure that we're holding each other accountable to these dates. Okay. Now let's continue. So now that we have a date on the floor, let's move forward. So we made a decision. Let's say it's October 1st. And the topic is how to make your first real estate investment. Let's say I'm a real estate person and I want to teach people how to do their first investment and the entire framework on how to get the cash flow to do that. And the offer post that program is a virtual course for people who are doing investments in New York City, where I'll teach them for multiple weeks on how to do that. That's the offer, right? So you see how simple it is. So what I want you guys to take time, I'm going to put some 1 minute on the clock. Once you got the date, I want you to think of a topic that you want to cover. And then what you want to offer. Do you want to offer a course? Do you want to offer a consulting session? Do you want to offer a coaching program where you coach multiple people at once? Tell me what you want to offer as the more intimate product that you're going to offer that's going to make people take action on what you're teaching them on that live event. I'm going to put some music up. You guys got 1 minute activity time. Let's do this. Let's put it on paper, and you can share it on the chat when you're ready. 1 minute, 60 seconds. Let's go. All right, that was a firestorm 1 minute, but you get the gist, right? So some of you are saying what you want to offer. Some people said consulting session. Some people said a course. But the point is that you are making decisions now from the date to the topic to the offer, and then we take it from there, okay? Once you do that, this is where in the Personal Brand Launch Academy, we go over the entire 5-part phase on how to map out and market and launch a live launch event, which is what it is. It's a live event where you go live and you teach something of value, but you spend at least a couple weeks prior to market and campaign it to your community, okay? This is why it's good that the majority of you gave yourself at least 2 weeks from today so that you wanted to do that. But this is not something that you would do now. Again, the first thing you need to do is craft your paid product. But to scale, when you're in scale mode, again, many of you are not in scale mode, but when you're in scale mode, I want to reinforce that. You're going to do a live event where you'll spend probably 2 or 3 weeks talking about it through your webinars, through your newsletter, if you have one, through email, through DM. And then when you go live, you go live for 3 to 10 days. So I went live for a couple of days. Some people go live for 7, and you're sending recaps every day. And after that, you remind people of a time frame for them to be able to sign up to work with you. And then you close cart, and that's it. So that way you have added value in the lives of, let's say, hundreds of people. You've been able to get them to get to know you, and then they make a decision to work with you. And now your brand is out there. And for those who are in your community after that, you could continue to see, nourish, and stay in touch with them throughout the year. But the point is, you made a massive declaration to the public that you want to be known for this topic and that you have value in it, and you added that value. And that's the entire business model. And you repeat that several times a year for areas of your expertise that you feel like requires a multi-day conversation, okay? Very simple. So that's the gist of it. And again, I say that to say that that's more when you're at scale, okay? When you're at scale. This is a very short session because I don't want to confuse you to thinking like, hey, how do I, do the marketing and the content? All of that we cover in the Personal Brand Launch Academy. But the point is, what you're trying to understand here is that doing an event for multiple hours or multiple days is your step to build a relationship with people in a quick amount of time for them to get to know you. Because again, trust is broken. You guys know you're pissed off. You've heard too many people claim to know something or have solutions for something and don't really have it. This breaks that skepticism because after a couple of days, people really get to know your personality. I'm sure you guys have seen me get real blunt with you over the past couple of days. You see how silly I am, how blunt I am. You're not only getting to know me by my expertise, you're also getting to know my personality as well. And making a choice as to when you want to move forward, okay? So that is the strategy. Very quick roundup on that for you to understand of once you get into scale your playbook, that's what you're doing on a consistent basis to grow your brand, scale your brand, and monetize your brand. However, that playbook cannot be into effect until you have a product. And one thing I want to clarify, because a lot of you guys signed up for next week's Personal Brand Digital Product Launch Workshop, where you'll have a more intimate opportunity for me to deep dive into product launching. Some of you asked the content of that session. It's a 2-day session. And the first day is all about figuring out the monetization models that will work for you. Not everyone's created the same. Not all of you are going to be able to launch a course. Not all of you are going to be able to launch a consulting session structure, because maybe you don't want to do one-on-ones. Not all of you will be able to do certain things. Excuse me. And so that first session is really helping you navigate the vast methods to be able to monetize your brand and figure out which one is the right one for you and in which order, because you're not going to stop at your first product, right? Most likely, after one typical path that we see is like the first product that we launch is a consulting one-on-one session. The second product that we launch is a coaching program. And then the third product that we launch is a course, and show you what time frames will work for you to do that, right? So that's the whole purpose of that. And then we'll do the pricing, we'll do the topic, we'll do the description, so you have all that. Then day 2, I'm not gonna leave you hanging with a product. Okay, you're ready to go, but you don't really know how to put it out there. We're gonna show you how to validate it and test the market without having to create it in silo and then be frustrated, right? So we're going to show you how to name it so that way it converts as quickly as possible, how to put it out there, and how to do it in a way. For some of you, you want to do it publicly. Some of you want to do it privately. I'm going to go with the flow where you want to go based on where you are at in your career to get it out there. So it's a lot to cover in 2 days, but it's tangible. You walk away with an actual product that you're proud of, that you can start monetizing right away. You walk away with clarity and action steps as to how to put it out there and announce it to the public. And what we do after that workshop, we do a follow-up with you guys to make sure that you did launch and you started generating revenue. Because my goal is always with these type of workshops is that you make back what you put in. $47, you guys will make it like that. Even if you launch your first product at $47 the same way that you put in to do in the program, you're going to make your money back. So it's almost like learning this for free. That's why this invitation is a no-brainer. And again, I'll put the link on the chat because someone just posted the request again. That's why this invitation is a no-brainer, because simply put, it's such an easy win for you to just gain the clarity that you need to get into the market as soon as possible, right? So this is the breakdown of the schedule for that 2-day workshop. I'm excited about it, because like I said, it's been the biggest roadblock that I've seen people have taken on when it comes to taking the first step from gaining clarity on this whole operating system that they should take part on and then moving forward immediately. Because what happens is once you get that first momentum, that first sell, what I love about this is that you start to pick up momentum and start to grow your brand and do all the things that you need to do to keep the momentum going, because it gives you adrenaline rush. It gives you momentum and excitement to keep going. And what I find is that people start doubling down, creating systems and creating networks and start, getting their CRM up. It's like I see the momentum from there. And that's what I ultimately want you to start to have for yourself is momentum. So where you can look at the second half of 2025 and see how far you've come from that workshop to where you're going to be in December. I'm going to follow up and ask you, how many products have you sold? What have you learned in that journey? Because it's going to be really exciting to see how you've accelerated from that first moment of making that first sell or multiple sales. And for those of you who have launched products before, but it's been very sporadic, this is going to give you a more consistent way of going about it in the market. So that way it doesn't feel like a sporadic experiment. It feels like a system that's actually working for you in your favor. So last chance again to give you that invitation, because the price does go up and double. We're going to transition to the last session of today in the next couple of minutes. I do want to answer a couple of questions that I saw from the first session. Let me see here. How to sell digital products. Again, digital products, once you package your knowledge, expertise, you have it on your dashboard. It's all about creating excitement or interest. And usually you could create interest by doing something of value. Webinars like this live day launch I just talked about. So people know that, because people won't buy from you unless they know that you know your stuff. That era where people are just taking a chance on stuff. No, it doesn't work. Okay. So how to sell digital products? Prove to people that you know your shit. Plain and simple. How do you prove to people that you know your shit? Do a webinar, do a conversation, have a newsletter where you're sharing thought leadership. But usually with thought leadership that's done in written form on social media, on newsletters, it takes a little bit more time because it's in written form. Video form is probably the best, fastest form for people to take action because they're interacting with you as if they're seeing you and they can learn from you. And that's how they know they can invest in you. That's the fastest way to do that. Great question. And I don't see any other questions here. So, oh, I got a question here. This is a big one. How do I identify my ideal customer profile? For example, I'm thinking I could target audience of people navigating entry and navigation of high-performing careers. I can also speak, teach, and coach on navigating college admissions for Ivy League top schools. Do I focus on one first and the other? The more I think about it, it's highly complementary customer base. We'll all get the kids to top school, maybe. So first and foremost, going back to the first session that we did in the 7 days challenge, you can have multiple interests, but you have to have clarity and pick one. Okay. You have to be known for something. The sooner you get to just making a decision of prioritizing a challenge that you want to solve for people. So in this case, maybe you want to target people who are trying to go to college, then that should be your target market. You shouldn't be talking about, how to navigate high performing careers. It just gets confusing. Pick one. And you will find that maybe, and this is something I've told people to do, if you feel like you just can't decide, you can have a 30-day time window period of experimentation where 1 week you talk about this, next week on a webinar you talk about this topic, the second week you do an encore presentation and see how many people are interested, the fourth week you do an encore presentation on the second topic, and after a month of doing like maybe a weekly webinar on both subjects, you will see your gut feeling where you want to go. You could have an experimentation phase. But at the end of the day, you're going to see faster conversion and faster traction once you decide and be known for something, keep repeating it in the market, plain and simple. So once you do that, once you decide on the challenge you want to solve for others, then you can identify the customer profile. So that customer profile for high performance career entry is very different than college admissions. For the college admissions process, it's most likely high school students and their parents. For high performing careers, it's people between the age of 18 to 25 who are trying to navigate. And once you have those targets, then you can start adding them on your LinkedIn, reaching out to people, creating content where you're engaging with them. All of that, we go in depth in the Personal Brand Launch Academy. But the point is that you are literally first making a decision on the challenge. A lot of people tell you make a decision on the target market. I'm like, choose a challenge you want to solve. Because once you choose a challenge that you're invested in, that you want to solve, it's easier to target the market that needs that solution. And then you work your way from there. Okay? Make a decision. All right? So great question. Just answer that, identifying the customer profile. Any other questions before we dive in to the next one? Okay? All right. So let's get ready. I know I'll keep the signboard up for you guys to sign up for the workshop. I know there's still questions around that, but I wanted to break down the agenda first so you can see tangibly what you'll be walking away from next week that is really hands-on. It's the first action step that a lot of people need to take immediately after doing the 7-day operating system to get into the momentum of things. All right. So we're going to dive into session 7, the last session of the day. Phew. Guys, we are killing it. We are doing this right now. So let's get the momentum going. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes, and then we're going to dive right into that next session. And if you have any questions coming up, keep sending them through the thread. Love them. I always respond to all the questions that I see, and then we'll take it from there. So let's give you guys 5 minutes before we transition to the next and final session.
Christine and Tim.
Christine, Sofran, Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
All right. We are back. We're back for the last session. Can you believe it? Like, we have come a long way, to be where we're at today. I'm still seeing comments coming in. I see someone just sent a date as well for their launch, 7:30, which is great. And Dina, it's nice to see you, actually. I just realized it was you there. Nice. So some of you are sharing the type of products or interests that you want to have, and all of the above are great. Okay, really, really great. And it's all about making sure that you simplify and give clarity. So you have the topic, but what do you want to solve in the topic? So if we're talking about, selling healthcare digital products, what does that mean, right? What type of healthcare? Is it medical care? Like, are you teaching people how to use healthcare products, how to leverage mental wellness? Like, you got to have clarity on what problem you want to solve. And that's why I said that, keep repeating that from step one. Once you have clarity on what you want to solve, man, everything becomes so much easier to create content, to have conversations, to get bookings. Like, I can't tell you how much easier it gets when you're able to just say, like, look, this is what I want to do for people. And just come domino effects from there. So as we go into day 7 or session 7 of the series, I am so incredibly proud of you guys. We have come a long way. And this one is not going to be a long session, but this is a very necessary session, because when we look at the entire, again, 7-part operating system, the business model for mapping out your personal brand for life and building a personal brand that brings clarity, alignment, authority, abundance into your life, you will have moments where even when things are going well, that you feel out of tune, out of alignment, stuck, confused, frustrated, resentful. You will have emotions that will come across your way that you don't even understand. I'm speaking from experience because I have accomplished so much in my career, and I'm so grateful. I have spoken at over 300 different conferences to date. I've spoken at the UN, World Bank, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. I have worked with world leaders from around the world. I have been featured on almost every single media outlet, from Forbes to Essence to Black Enterprise to Entrepreneur to Inc. I've been featured in business case studies. I have done podcast interviews, stage interviews, media interviews. I have had the highs and the lows of my career to tell you that even when things are going well, you have to come to a Jesus moment every once in a while in your career and see if you are going in the direction that you want to go. And this is why this last session is so crucial, But I honestly feel nobody on the internet, when it comes to personal branding conversations, talk about it. They don't talk about it. They talk about the glitz and glamour of building your website, your logos, brand deals, and products and content strategy and AI tools, blah, 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 blah. But again, you are a human being, created a legacy of value. And as you interact with the market, you're going to have people reject you, disrespect you, not understand you, compete with you, compare you to other influencers or other coaches or experts. You're going to go through a lot. And this final step is really creating a strategic, consistent pattern of evaluating your personal brand, reflecting and really seeking alignment on a regular basis of not only the performance of your brand. Are you happy with what your brand is giving back to you? Is your reputation pouring into you? Is all your expertise and your experiences giving you a return on investment? Are you getting booked for deals? Are you getting speaking engagements? Are people booking to work with you? Are you getting opportunities to travel the world or do certain things that you never thought was possible? What is the performance of your brand, which is part one? And part two to that, are you happy with the direction that you're going? This is such a crazy conversation, but it's so necessary. We had to end on that note. So if we're talking about building this 7-part operating system for your entire career, your entire life, you can't close the loop without thinking about performance. So that way, as you reiterate and go through new stage cycles, and sometimes many of you will go through a new reset, or you double down your purpose, double down your position, but you reinvent how you pitch yourself, how you create and grow your brand, but the cycle still remains the same at every iteration. Let's talk about evaluating your brand, okay? Let's start with the reasons why many of you came on this 7-day personal brand reinvention challenge. There are triggers and catalysts for why we are all here. Some of you are here because you're going through a transition. Maybe you're going through a new job. Maybe you're starting a new business. Maybe you're at a different stage of your career. Maybe you're relocated to a new place. Everyone's going through some type of transition. Maybe you have some triggers. You're frustrated. You are frustrated with your state of being and you want to take to the next level. That's when you know you're ready for the next level of your life, when you are frustrated with the status quo, which 5 years ago or 5 months ago you were very comfortable in. When you're no longer comfortable with your status quo, that's when you know you're ready for the next level, right? So frustration. Some of you might be just in a momentum period and you want to maximize it. One of the biggest frustrations I get, because a lot of my clients are go-getters, they're high achievers, high performance, like entrepreneurs who are killing it in momentum mode. But for some reason, they feel like, I'm not maximizing the visibility and the momentum that I'm in. I need clarity to make sure that I'm maximizing the opportunities or the potential opportunities that may be coming my way right now in this period of my career. So some of you are here because of momentum. Some of you are here because maybe you have certain experiences that's making you aware of the fact that you got gaps to fill and you need to tackle it. Maybe you went to a couple of networking events and you realize, like, I know more than this person. I know how to do this. And you just like, I need to have more confidence in myself. Some of you just timeline. Maybe you're an early nester, right? Your kids graduated. They're now out of the house and you're like, now I have the time. This is the season for you to do this. Some people are in season for a reinvention. You're in season, you're in mode, you're in flow for a moment of time right now to walk into a new level of your truth. You are in the season. This is the time. You feel like it's now or never. And some of you is because the world is going batshit crazy. And the macroeconomic condition is showing you that if I don't figure this out right now, it's going to be too late for me to figure it out because it's going to be too overwhelming, too overstimulating, too crazy and chaotic in my life to figure this out. Let me do this right now. Because the way the world is moving, there's no mercy. There's no forgiveness. People are becoming more narcissistic, more less compassionate, less empathetic. The societal movement right now is unpredictable and unstable. So I need to control what I need to control and bring stability and abundance into my life. Because again, just because the world is going through a change doesn't mean that the change wasn't meant to happen. So how do I adapt to change with AI and technologies? How do I look at this period of humanity as the moment that I took a decision on myself and made a bet on myself to take myself to the next level. Are you with me? So tell me why you are here. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to personal branding, your evolution of building and growing your personal brand, you have reasons and catalysts and triggers for it that make it a priority that you need to take action on right here and now. Right? So with that said, here's how you do a reinvention strategy, adopting what we just learned from steps 1 to 7 in a way that's healthy, in the way that really truly builds momentum, and in a way that you could be proud of. Because I've seen so many people try to reinvent themselves. I've seen so many people try to re-announce themselves to the public, and they do it in an angry way, where they're like, yeah, I'm going to start charging more because people don't value me, so I'm going to go from 100 to 2,000. And if people don't appreciate that, they start cussing people out. I've seen that. Or I know everyone knows me for entrepreneurship, but I'm tired of people talking to me for entrepreneurship. I'm going to start talking about wellness, and they're going to deal with it. So I'm going to start posting random stuff on social media. It's about wellness. I've seen people do that, and they lost people, right? When you're in transition of and going through a period of reinvention, it doesn't have to be abrupt. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be, boom, an explosion. It could be just a blossoming experience for you and the world at large to reintroduce themselves to you and for you to reintroduce yourself. It's like a reintroduction. That's why one of my favorite songs and my favorite lines, like, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is, and you go, right? That's what you're getting to right now. With this challenge, I gave you the blueprint to really look and have clarity to come out here now and reintroduce yourself to the public in a way where you feel in control, in a way where you feel like you have authority, and a way that you feel you have the credibility and the momentum to do that. First things first, don't do it abruptly. Don't just overhaul your public persona and social media looking content overnight. Don't do that. Have a period of time of bringing your audience with you by telling them that you're in transition. So I remember before I started talking about, for my first company was Vendetti, which is a social enterprise in the travel space. I started having a series of webinars and conversations where I told people, like, due to the success of this first business, I'm interacting with a lot of entrepreneurs who want to learn from my journey. So I'm not evolving my brand and my thought leadership into really going from being a startup founder to being a startup facilitator and helping people build and scale their businesses. I had a period of time. And the thing is, sometimes people need to see something 5, 6, 7, 8 times before it starts to make sense to them for them to have alignment. So bring your audience with you. If you're going through clarity and evolution, you don't have to do it in silo. You could tell people, like, hey guys, I'm thinking about starting to talk about health and wellness. What do you guys think? Right? Give people a backdrop to the motion picture that you're building for your life. And I'm not saying tell them everything. You don't have to tell them that you cried because you did a post and it didn't work out, right? But I'm saying is that bring your audience and your community with you. So as you're evolving, it doesn't look sporadic, and don't evolve too crazily. Evolve into where you want to go, and don't do it abruptly. And the second one is something that I see happen a lot. And from my heart to yours, I've seen a lot of people just discredit their previous life and career chapters, thinking that that's what they need to do, kind of like cutting the umbilical cord in order to move to the next phase. I still tell people the part of my career and corporate career before becoming an entrepreneur for the past 15 years, that I was in corporate banking. And that corporate banking experience gave me a lot of insight into marketing, operations, and productivity. And that it's been a blessed part of my career and how I evolved into entrepreneurship. I don't just cut it and makes it seem like it doesn't exist. Because what happens is you see other people who are capitalizing on a chapter, a season in your life that you're no longer a part of, and you almost don't take credit for things that you've accomplished in that chapter because you discredited yourself. So I've seen people, for example, I'm in the entrepreneurship space where I'm a facilitator. We run one of the largest accelerator programs. We've stuck to it. A lot of accelerators and incubators post the pandemic shut down. And I've seen a lot of people rebrand themselves into other businesses and take that chapter away from them. And then right now, momentum is building back again on accelerators and incubators, and no one knows them in the community for that. So they're not even being invited for opportunities for thought leadership, even as a consultant on that chapter and season of their life, just because they discredit themselves from the market, right? So you got to look at your story as an evolution right? And let people know the chapters of your life, even if you progress from it. It's okay to take your previous chapters with you as a narrative of your evolution. The third thing is, don't be opportunistic and just jump on trends for your rebrand. I see a lot of people, they don't rebrand with purpose, they rebrand with clout, where if AI is a big thing, they try to jump on AI. They try to turn every topic that they have into an AI topic. If, blockchain is the topic, they try to do every topic associated with blockchain. Be mindful of how you want to grow authentically, and focus on topics that actually suit who you are. So that way you're not navigating the market with falsehood and nonsense. Okay. And then finally, let people know what the catalyst is. So that's why I'm asking you why you here, because it's good to tell people why you're doing this, why you're evolving, why you're growing, and why you're doing the things that you do. Right. I know about 10 years ago, I was a facilitator hosting a lot of events and workshops. I don't do that now. My team does that. And some people still come to me and say, hey, Christine, can you MC or host this event? I'm like, no, I'm more of a thought leader now. I don't do those type of programs and initiatives anymore. But thank you for the invitation. But I'm in the market with my team. Why don't you work with my team to be able to do this? So I'm still benefiting from my past life, maybe not in the way that they thought I still do, but I'm still working and collaborating with those communities. Okay. So that's really important. So with that, just to conclude, obviously this was a very short chapter. We're coming near towards the 3-hour mark of this program and this series. But the goal here is to really take you to a level where you are able to crystallize who you are and what you want to do. And at the end of the day, the goal that I had for this program was to get you from point A to point B to understand, if I had to reinvent myself and rebrand myself and put myself out there with clarity and intention, what steps would I take? And I share with you the steps to not only take tomorrow, not only take next week, but for the rest of your career, the rest of your life. So speaking of steps, with the clarity that you've gained and momentum that you gained from these past 7 sessions, I want to go back and iterate for the last time, because again, this is the final opportunity for me to share this live invitation offer to you guys to take the first action step, which is the first roadblock people usually have after gaining so much momentum and clarity from these 7 sessions, is creating a product that starts to sell your expertise so you can start building momentum in the market. And as stated before, for all of you who are part of this boot camp, you get it at a price point that is not reflective of the value. It is worth thousands to work with me in any intimate capacity beyond today. But I'm doing it at a price point that I know all of you guys could take on and make no excuses. Because my goal is to get you into my community so I can work with you and evolve with you over time. From the biggest challenge that I know many of you are going to have right now, I want to take that off your plate and position you for momentum and action during the second half of this year by taking action immediately into next week. So once again, I want to invite you to join me for the Personal Brand Digital Product Work Launch Shop. All right. The Personal Brand Digital Product Launch Workshop. We are live virtually in a more intimate setting where I'm going to walk you through all the different monetization models that will work specifically for you and your situation, because this is the first step. Get questions on this all the time. And once you have clarity on this, everything that we talked about within that 7-part operating cycle becomes more fluid and easier to manage and jump into, because you have a core thing to go to market with clarity and confidence. That's very, very important. So with that said, again, I'll place the link for you guys on the chat. I want to give you guys a heartfelt congratulations for being with me for the past 7 sessions. You guys are troopers. You guys have asked tremendous amount of questions. Right now, I wanted to do some LinkedIn audits, but unfortunately, we ran out of time. So those of you who are going through the workshop, I'll be doing some live LinkedIn audits with you guys on that call. However, I am going to try to do another session in the future so I can start to do some LinkedIn audits with you guys. I do them every once in a while to the public. They're 5-minute audit sessions. We're having a little bit issue of tech for me to get the LinkedIn and switch through the names that came through from last session. However, with the LinkedIn audits, the biggest thing that I will recommend you to do is go back to session 2, where I walk you through the phases that you need to edit to optimize your LinkedIn brand session. So please go back and do that. With that said, guys, it has been an amazing journey. I hope that this changed your whole worldview about how to build a personal brand with purpose in today's digital age. This is something that's going to bring you such clarity and purpose. You're going to walk into the world in such vim because you have clarified for yourself what you want to be known for, at least in this time period. And you're going to market with that value proposition with vim, with enthusiasm and excitement that anyone could see, right? Anyone could see and relate to and want to work with you. And you will see the doors that will open and manifest for you in real time as you continue to show up and show up your expertise, show up your wisdom, show up your journey in a way that's vulnerable, open, and sincere. We need more sincerity in the world. We need more trust again. We need to believe in people and the possibilities again. So I hope that I inspire you to show up with purpose, show up with integrity, show up with clarity, and to do that without burnout, without overwhelm, to do that with simplicity and with systems that actually scale. Leveraging the 7-part operating system that I shared with you today, you have the entire blueprint to do that. And of course, if you're ready to take action and get on the first step, I already invited you to the digital product launch workshop that takes place next week. And from there, we begin our journey to seeing you soar and prosper and create a lifestyle of abundance and opportunity and create a legacy that stands the test of time. That's my hope for you. And I'll end again with the quote that I've been reiterating throughout this journey. When your name becomes a solution, that's when you know you have won. That's my hope for you, where your brand, your personal brand becomes synonymous with positivity, opportunity, excitement, and power. Let that be your guide. Let that be your inspiration to take this journey head on. I cannot wait to see you guys on the other side. Thank you so much. My name is Christina Tim. I have been your host for the past 7 sessions, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the workshop to work together more in depth. And I look forward to seeing you guys soar and manifest your biggest dreams and turn them into reality. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. To the Personal Brand Accelerator program. We're going to talk about really the who, what, when, where, how of personal branding. Personal branding in many ways is an ongoing process, right? Because you are practicing, you're developing, you're manifesting yourself over time as you grow and develop as a person within your career. Today, we're transitioning from the personal branding fundamentals to now building your personal branding foundation, right? You can't position yourself for opportunity unless you understand your motivations and what is your capacity. Now, at the very beginning, you should always be experimenting with your brand and engaging with the world, just trying to find out, okay, what experiments do you need to run to see where you need to be? There are a million different ways to make money with your personal brand, but you either got to do what is your biggest strength right now, right? Or you do where the most resources are available. A lot of people, when they're trying to monetize their personal brand, they focus on bucket 4 and 5, right? Where they're working with people to get speaking engagements, contracts. You're doing a lot of external activities to get that clout from the community to pay you for certain works. A lot of times people confuse marketing and sales to be the same thing, right? This is the reason why a lot of people, they have a personal brand. Let's say they got as far as to create a free or paid product like a course or a retreat or a session, and they're putting it out there. They're quote unquote marketing it, they're promoting it, they're blasting it, but they're not monetizing, they're not making money. And part of the reason why is because they did not combine their marketing strategy with their sales strategy. But I could give you all the systems all day long, but it's up to you to turn it into a routine. And that does require checklists. It does require you really having the discipline to execute on that routine. So much has happened over the past couple of weeks. You have learned so much from start to finish. The best way I could end this is by saying that, look, like, a lot of people wait their entire life to try to figure this out. You have the unique opportunity where you have this content for life, right? You have this journey for life where you are now given a blueprint to constantly keep upping your brand, keep accelerating your career, keep creating value, and also creating multiple streams of income for yourself in addition to any of the fundamental work that you do.
But this world, as big as it is, one person can be the tipping scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to judge